And it's day one and you walking in there on the first day, man, you in there, man. But you feel something. It's right in here, man. And it's screaming and it's yelling and it's saying, release me. And it's saying, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. Hey, y'all, when you get back, kick some butt, and I'll see you in the winner's circle celebrating your victory. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! You got this! You got this! You got this! Thank everybody.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to a milestone, man. Week 250 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got here. We got, it's a lot of y'all, man. We got Mona Obermolak is in the building. We got, where we at? We got Michael Benton. Mona's in Orlando, Florida. Michael Benton's in Cincinnati, Ohio. We got the good Dr. Rella Hicks in the building down in Augusta. Let's turn that outlook off right quick. We got Leslie Akintunde, Sterling, Virginia. We got Takesha High is also in Virginia. Let's go. Nadira Coley, Newark, New Jersey. VP Robin Snowden, Fresno, California. Hotep to you and Harambe. We got Nicole X. I probably messed that up, but I tried. Out there in Delaware. Let's see. Grace Castaneda in Houston, Texas this morning. Marsha Poe is in San Diego, California. Ronald Pugh, Cedar Hill, Texas. Lysandra Brackens is in North Carolina. Dr. Rachel Edo Eckett is in the building. We got Josh Tovar, my man, out in Garland, Texas. We got Stacy Joy in LA, where she said under the weather, man, get well. I was under the weather a couple of weeks ago myself and felt like I was having a relapse this week, but we fought it and bam, victory. I'm feeling good, baby. We got Dr. Sonia Matthews, MBCT, Maryland. We got where we at? Principal Otis Kitchen II is in the building. AP, he down in Tampa, Florida. AP Patrick Lawrence is in Connecticut. We got Shalita Hines in the building. That's an unfamiliar name. I bet you she's from Delaware. We got Val Foster in the building. Where we at? We got she said New York and Dallas, man. Yeah, you all over the place, right? We got the good doctor, Sheikah Houston, South Carolina, in the building. We got Jacqueline Harriet in the building, Nova Scotia. Rodney Richardson, Hampton, Virginia. Let's see. We got retired Principal Dot McKeever Jeter in the building, Calumet City, Illinois. Where we at? You know, hey, Dot, I've been seeing y'all in the news lately. Not Calumet City. I'm not going to name the district. You know the district because you're right there next to it. But y'all got some stuff going on at that board meeting, I see. But yeah, but that what was that city? That was city council, right? City council, but I won't even name the city, but it's near, it's near where you are. Vanessa Zeskin is in the building, Connecticut. Annette McMahon is in the building. Erica Gunter, that's Delaware. David Bell, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Kimberly Broughton Kafele, that's the queen of the castle, man. She's in the building. We got where we at? Monique Rodriguez Tucker, Bakersfield, California. I ain't been there for a while. It's been a while. Sean Hurt, Detroit, Michigan. Let me say this to you real quick. We're gonna get it started, yo. We got a lot to cover. Every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, Sean Hurt, Facebook Live. These are all Facebook Live, followed by Create and Educate, Dr. Tammy Taylor, Dr. Sheikah Houston. And then yours truly, AP and New Principals Academy at 10:55. And then on Sundays, normally 7 o'clock Eastern, these are all Eastern time, 7 o'clock Eastern time, Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno, PDP podcast, but they got a special time tomorrow because of Super Bowl. I think it's at 2 o'clock, right? So check us all out, the Fantastic Four, we call ourselves, but for the Saturday, we call us the Saturday folks Super Saturday, right? I'm getting ready to shut it down, y'all, because I got a lot. We got a lot to talk about, and I got a little monologue, man. Let me just end it. I'm looking for somebody from Jersey on here. Here goes Jersey. LaKenya Rowland from Jersey. I never met you before, I don't think, but you in Jersey. I'm gonna end my shout outs right there, and I'm gonna say to everybody formally now, good morning, greetings, welcome to the milestone 250 consecutively. That word is key, y'all. 250 consecutively. I haven't missed a Saturday in 250 consecutive Saturdays of the AP and New Principals Academy. Hey man, I got the same question every week. I got it for you. You know what it is. Drop your response right in the comments. My question is, how are you? How you feeling? I'm good, man. Let me tell you, I'm good. But on the other hand, nationally, I'm not good, man. Right? And this will spill into my monologue a little bit, but I'm not at my monologue yet. But nationally, let me tell y'all something, man. At least 3 clients reached out to me today. I mean, not today, this week. At least 3. Count them. 1, 2, 3 reached out to me this week about future engagements that I had. And they said the same thing. They said, Kafele. Now, they ain't called me Kafele. That's what friends call me. They said Principal Kafele, right? They said Principal Kafele. Look, man, the executive orders, we with DEI, diversity, equity, and include, they don't even spell it out. Y'all, if you didn't see my monologue last week, which was 35 minutes long, I actually made it a separate video, right? You can go right to the YouTube channel, AP New Principals Academy, check it out, right? I'm not going to repeat that. I'm not going to be redundant. But they said, Principal Kafele, with the executive orders, we can't have you coming down here talking about DEI, right? I want you to let that marinate for a second. We can't have you coming down here talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Man, there's a part of me that wants to expound, but then I'll be into last week's monologue. Go to AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel. It's right there. Click the video link, right? Click the video link. It's the first video that'll come up. But I will say this much. If this is where we are now, that schools and school districts are afraid of losing their funding because they go on and continue to proceed with diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI. We're in Black History Month. I'm going to confine my comments just to Black students on this. Diversity, equity, inclusion is more than Black students, but let me just talk about Black students who, if you look at any national assessment data, Black students are traditionally at the extreme wrong end of that data. Well, if we're gonna shy away from DEI with a particular emphasis on equity and inclusion, then there is no solution in sight. There is no solution. How are you going to take a population of kids and not prepare a population of staff to be successful with them? Man, I feel like I'm getting into last week's monologue. Let me hurry up and stop. How are you going to take a population of students? And sometimes people say, but the children are the children. Let me slay that dragon real quick. When I go and speak somewhere, right? Those of you who are speakers, you understand this completely. But all of us should really have some semblance of an understanding of this. When I go speaking somewhere, the first thing I do before I even plug in the technology is the audience analysis. Now, I did the homework. I know what the audience is going to be comprised of, but that's me sitting at the table over here on a Zoom call with the client. When I walk in the room, now I'm studying the room. So let's say, for example, this is just an example, that on like I'm speaking on Tuesday, right? hypothetically, I'm speaking somewhere on a Tuesday. So Monday's presentation was an urban, all-Black audience. Now, with that all-Black audience, there's a culture that accompanies that. So typically, and without being stereotypic, when I walk in, it's like it's different. I don't even want to give it a word. It's different than when I walk into an auditorium and it's an all-white audience. So now I'm gonna go in that room and speak, and I'm gonna be the same person as far as delivery with both audiences. I'm gonna lose some people because I have to consider who are the students. And in this case, we're talking about the educators in the audience. Who are the students? So I got culturally, I gotta bring the right version of me. But then I fly to Montana. I fly to Idaho. I fly to North Dakota. I fly to Wyoming, one of them states. And I'm going to bring what I brought to East Cleveland. I'm going to bring what I brought to Metro Detroit. I'm going to bring what I brought to Liberty City, Miami, to Great Falls, Montana, Boise, Idaho. Are you kidding me? I have to adapt. I have to adjust to the students. Well, you talk about elimination of DEI? So just treat them generically? They all the same? Can't do it, baby. Can't do it. Hey, y'all, forgive me. That ain't even my monologue, right? Can't do it. So I don't have a responsible answer for this Saturday platform this morning, right? Notice that word I use, responsible. I don't have a responsible answer for you. I got an emotional answer, but I don't want to give you an emotional answer. I don't have a responsible answer. But I do know that there's got to be some change. I do know that educators have to express outrage, right? It's something has to give. Diverse, watch the video. I'm getting ready to reiterate. Go to YouTube at the end of this program, AP New Principals Academy, click video, and it'll be the first video that pops up, right? Enough said. Continue thoughts and prayers to all the fam out there who were impacted by the wildfires in Southern California. I'm gonna just keep saying that because every time I see the images, I'm looking at this just barren land, homes gone. And there's some people, there's this misconception that the rich lost their homes. Nah, Everybody out there wasn't rich that lost their home. That spread over acres of land, right? Acres of land. So be mindful of that. But I say the fam, meaning the folks that are part of this academy who are impacted, but I also say in the general population, right? But I always, give particular deference to the fam who have been rocking with us, and they may have lost homes, or they may be impacted indirectly, right? So I want to make sure that we never forget you out there in Southern California. Shout out to Beechcroft High School and Mifflin High School in Columbus, Ohio, that I had an opportunity to spend a whole lot of time with this week. Shout out to them. Shout out to the leadership. Just had a great week. Dr. Johnson, Principal Rodriguez had a great week with both of them. Maybe I wasn't with them for the week, but a part of my week. Shout out to Middletown, Connecticut administration. We got snowed out, so we're gonna reschedule, and I see y'all when I see you. Right, we're gonna reschedule. Shout out to Family Renaissance Rites of Passage graduation last night in Brooklyn. The village of Brooklyn, USA. Last night, man, I had a great time out in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, with the young brothers, and that was one of, I get into them into those settings, and I tend to just go ballistic, and that was one of them nights I just went ballistic, but that's okay. Shout out to them. Shout out to the Recess podcast with David McGuire. Interviewed me, man. You can go to my Facebook page and check that out. Shout out to TEPSA Talk podcast with Todd Nesloni. That'll be posted soon. And, just had some good times interviewing with folks. And we got another big week coming up. Welcome to the first timers. But if this is in fact your first time, like maybe you from Delaware and you checking out the Delaware brigade I got on, don't let this be your last time, man. Ain't nothing like this on YouTube. How do I know that? Because we rank #1, baby. Right. So make sure that you keep coming back and checking us out, man. Me and the entire Fantastic Four lineup that I just gave you a little while ago. While you're here, I gotta let you know, my Leadership Institute that I do every summer. We do it in different cities. We'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina this year, July 15 and 16. So make sure that you come to Raleigh. Go to principalkafele.com, scroll down to the School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. We're calling it the Instructional Leadership Institute this year to coincide with the new joint, right? What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? So register there. You get a free copy. Comes with registration of what is my value to the teachers I supervise. And if you're one of the first 50, and maybe we're at 50 now, I haven't even checked with my partner. But if you're one of the first 50, then you get a copy of the Principal 50 as well. So you get 2 books if you're one of the first 50. But if you're not, then you still get what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise. So go and register in advance. We don't. This is not something that we're trying to get the huge numbers. We like to cap this off at 100, right? We want to keep it intimate. It's just me. It's 2 days, 9 to 4 both days. We're just talking leadership, primarily instructional leadership. So register for that, July 15 and 16, Raleigh, North Carolina. Speaking of that book, let's put it right here. Bam. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise, man? It's doing really well. And I got to thank all of you for that reason. Just thank you for those of you who have a copy now. I doubt seriously that there's someone that would say, this book really didn't tell me anything. There's a lot in there. So get yourself a copy. But I got to tell you, if you get it from Amazon, please rate it and review it, right? Rate it and review it. I'll say it again, rate it and review it. That matters. We live in an algorithm world, right? So rate it and review it. And I'll even suggest how many stars to give it. 5, right? Just give it. Don't give me no 4 stars. It's a 5-star book, right? So give me all 5 of them stars, and also give me a little something as far as a comment, right? Give me a review. I appreciate that immensely. Y'all know I got 13 other books I wrote. I'm not going to flash all those right now. We getting ready to get to our folks, but I got to get this monologue in. Let me get the monologue in, and then I'm ready to bring up my guest. Check it out, y'all. Last week, my message was an intro to Black History Month. As far, for the newcomers here, for the new heads, I do a monologue every week. That's my time, and then I bring up my guest. And then starting in May, I'll go back to doing solo sessions. First Saturday in May, we'll be doing that starting in May, every first Saturday, I'll be solo, right? But outside of that, we got guests. But anyway, so it was a Black History Month message, an intro to Black History Month, coupled with this conversation about diversity and equity and inclusion, which became a long message. And that's why I say go to YouTube and check it out. But today, I just want to talk briefly about what I want to call the Black educator tradition, right? The Black educator tradition. I'm gonna keep it brief. I should have written notes to really keep me brief, but I'm going up here. But I want you to think. I want you to think back. Let's go back pre-Brown versus Board of Education, 1954, right? And when I say go back, let's go way back. Let's go back to when we talk about the Freeman schools and whenever the first African-American teachers, people became teachers, right? Over the years, by far the most prestigious position that one could hold in a community was that of the classroom teacher. I'm talking about Black people now, right? Was a classroom teacher, right? Or other professional positions. You're an entrepreneur, that mattered, that's status. But being that classroom teacher, that was status. That meant something, because what that translated into was that you were in the school, and when we talk about Black liberation, Black struggle, Black progress, then you were an integral part of that, because you were in the classroom preparing the next generation. So as a Black teacher, and this is not to say every teacher that was in the school, but I can say certainly the masses of them, if you are in the school as a teacher, as an educator, or as a principal, as any position in education, I just want to focus on teaching right now, then that means you weren't there just because you woke up one morning and said, I want to teach children. You weren't there because solely of your love of English or your love of math or your love of social studies. What undergirded all of that, what underscored all of that, was that you wanted to be in the classroom to contribute to the liberation, the advancement, the progress of Black people, right? Through the children, right? So that became the Black educator tradition. So when we think about the existence of Black people in America, it's always been an existence and an experience of oppression. We came here through oppression via enslavement. That's why we're here now. What's StreamYard trying to tell me real quick? We're having trouble with StreamYard to X, whatever it is. So there may be some issues with Twitter or X nationally. So we'll just work through it. Very good. So that existence of Black people in America, that experience of Black people in America, began in oppression via the slave trade. So then throughout the years, all the way to 2025, the oppression never disappeared. It just looked different. It just felt different, but it was still there. But that Black educator tradition, see, everybody's not going to lead a march, right? Oh, they fixed the Twitter. Very good. Everybody's not going to lead a march, right? Everybody's not going to lead a protest rally. Everybody's going to do what they're comfortable with in their lane. So you had a sizable number of people, percentage of people, who decided my march, my rally, my demonstration will be me in the classroom as the classroom teacher, me as the principal of the school, me as the counselor, me as the whatever. So I'm saying that to say this. I run across a lot of educators on social media or in person who complain about the reality of working within a school system, right? Like, I don't need this. And I like to remind them, this is my Black educator colleagues now. I like to remind them of the Black educator tradition. Of course, there's going to be discomfort in the school, whether it be people not liking the way you approach your students, your style, so to speak, like my African-centered approach. I may have people that are in disagreement with that. But here's the thing. I'm rooted in the Black educator tradition. So I know that if there's oppression in the world, it's not going to stop when I walk into a school. That's my point. If it's in the world, then it's in the school, because the school is part of the world. But if I'm functioning within the Black educator tradition, then I understand that. So that's not going to discourage me nor frustrate me. In fact, I'm going to anticipate it and expect it. I hope you hear me. I'm going to anticipate it. I'm going to expect it. So let me bring this to a close by saying this. Last night, I spoke in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. We got out of there about 9:30 or 10 o'clock. The school I first taught at in 1988 is in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. So I decided to drive over there. Got out the car, took a picture of where the window where my classroom was, and reminisced. Man, it was adults in that building that couldn't stand me, man. I had posters of everybody, all the greats in the room. They went to the principal and they said, can you have him take those posters down? They couldn't tolerate seeing Malcolm on them walls. They couldn't tolerate seeing Garvey on them walls. They couldn't tolerate seeing Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman on them walls. And I can go on and on. But it wasn't their walls. It was my classroom. What are you doing looking in my room? So they went to the principal and said, could you have him take that down? And I was wearing these dashikis every day with a shirt and tie underneath so you could see the tie. I was 27 years old. And they said, could you have them stop wearing the dashikis? So I said to the principal, I'm brand new rookie. I said, I can't do that. Why are they monitoring what I wear and what my classroom looks like and what I'm teaching? So the principal apparently respected that and left me alone and invited me back next year. But I went back home to Jersey and did the same thing. So I'm saying that to say this, because I was operating in the Black educator tradition. I didn't even talk about content, and I'm not, because I got to get my guest up here. But I was operating in the Black educator tradition. This was a Black classroom. This was not a generic space. This was a Black classroom with a Black teacher who was rooted in Black history and therefore upholding the Black educator tradition. I'm trying to teach somebody something today. So therefore, you can't go in that room and you mad and you frustrated and I want to quit. Racism didn't end when you became a teacher. Oppression didn't end when you became a teacher. Marginalization didn't end when you became a teacher. It still exists. But if you don't know the Black educator tradition, then you're going to think that things should be just gravy for you all the time, because you don't understand the struggle that paved the way for you. I'm going to tell you something, and I hope it don't come across wrong. I know I paved the way for people. I know that. In the classroom, in the principalship, and as a speaker. I see all these Black speakers on these stages now. They don't know who was kicking them damn doors open. I'm sorry about the profanity. They don't know who was kicking them doors open, because them doors was locked. They wouldn't let me in them places. They wouldn't even let me do breakout sessions. I kicked them doors open, man. Now I see them up there. They don't even know about them years, man. You know, because I don't talk about that much. But see, that's that Black educator tradition. Them doors, them big national conferences, and y'all go there, and it's 10,000 people in the audience. You see them Black keynoters? When I was on the come up, I ain't see no Black keynoter at no national conference. I saw Black keynoters in Black spaces. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about white spaces. I ain't never go to no conference. Oh man, the opening keynote is a Black person. Nah. But they wouldn't they just let me come in. They just let me pay registration and be a registrant. I said, nah, y'all gonna let me in these places. I'm in there now. Black educator tradition. To my Black colleagues out there. Now, this is not a message like my white colleagues who are watching, my Latino colleagues who are watching, my Asian colleagues who are watching, my non-Black colleagues who are watching. This message is for you. I'm just talking Black because I'm staying consistent with the month we're in, Black History Month. I'm staying consistent with it. But this message is for you because I want you, because you need to know this. Like the advocacy of knowing the history of Black people is not for Black people to know the history of Black people solely. If you're not Black, you need to know the history of Black people too, because if you don't, you might watch the TV and watch so I'll use an old 70s slang, some jive TV show and think that's who we are. Some buck dancing, bucket and shucking and jiving, and you think that's the totality of Black people because you don't know the history of Black people. See, so it's not just for Black people. It's for everybody to know our story, which is inclusive as I close. Understanding the Black educator tradition. That matters. So when I went into that classroom and I took that curriculum and I Africanized it to make sure that the students saw themselves so that they could relate to it and identify with it, to increase the probability that they will be successful and thereby successful in life, that's the Black educator tradition. Enough said, y'all. I'll probably put this on a separate video later too. Right, enough said. I got guests, man. Look what time it is. 11:30, man. I got guests. Let me get my guests up here. They like, come on, Kafele, man. We it's our day. Here they go. Here they go. The Delaware Brigade is in the building. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Saturday.
I went 5 minutes shorter than last week.
You was on fire.
On fire.
We told you take your time. We said take your time.
Yeah, you told me to take my time. I appreciate y'all, man. Let me let the folks out here know who you are. All these Delaware folks, they already know, but let me let everybody else know who you are. We're gonna start with Dr. Equetta Jones, a dedicated leader, advocate, and parent who believes strongly in the power of inclusivity. With a deep commitment to fostering a school environment where every student feels valued and respected, her leadership is characterized by a strong focus on creating a supportive and welcoming school culture that celebrates the unique backgrounds and experiences of all students, staff, and families. Equetta has a firm belief that every child deserves a booster club, no matter their ability, background, or socioeconomic status. Currently, she serves as the principal of Love Creek Elementary, where she is committed to working collaboratively with the school community to ensure that every student has the opportunity to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. She continues to walk in her mantra, I love them too much to let them fail. Equetta loves building angels with broken wings and often shares her story with parents and students who have started to lose hope. Her leadership focuses on motivating her team, leveraging data to improve school outcomes, and creating a space where students feel excited to learn and grow. Now, before I move on, Dr. Jones, so that I don't mess this up, just give me them two titles as far as your national work.
So currently, I hold the seat as the president of the Delaware Association of School Principals. I also am a facilitator for the National Association of Elementary School Principals and serve as the state representative for Delaware.
Great stuff. Great stuff. That needs to be told. Dr. Jerod Phillips Sr. is the principal of David E. Robinson Elementary School in Magnolia, Delaware, where he has led significant academic and school climate improvement since February 2023. Under his leadership, third grade reading, hear this very well, under his leadership, third grade reading proficiency has exceeded state and district averages, while math proficiency has increased by 6%, including a 10% gain in third grade. DRE has also seen a 37% reduction in discipline referrals, fostering a positive learning environment that maximizes instructional time. With over a decade of leadership experience, Dr. Phillips has served as principal and assistant principal at the elementary level, and assistant principal at the middle school level, and dean of students at the middle school level. A former middle school math teacher, he excelled in data-driven instruction and student engagement. His impact was recognized when he was named Delaware's National Outstanding Assistant Principal of the Year in 2021, shortly before being appointed principal at his school. A published author and rising speaker, Dr. Phillips has contributed to NAESP's Principal Magazine and presented at national and state level conferences, including the United Conference for K-12 Principals and Delaware Council of Mathematics Conferences. He co-hosted the podcast Speaking Educationally, starting in January 2020, and has since launched his solo podcast, the Squad Builder Podcast, which is currently being rebranded as Don't Lead Scared. A devoted husband and father of three, he remains deeply engaged in his church and community. More strong stuff. Got one more. Freeman Williams III is currently the principal of Caesar Rodney High School. This year marks his 26th year in education. He held previous positions as a third grade teacher and K2 math resource teacher and a high school dean of students. In addition, Mr. Williams has administrative experience serving as the elementary principal and as an assistant principal at the elementary and middle school levels. Mr. Williams is a passionate and empathetic educator with a history of school leadership experience, working with diverse scholars, staff, and families. He utilizes a positive energy with a team-oriented approach to build and strengthen proactive systems to positively impact the culture, climate, and instructional needle. educational assist or assist, cultivate and strengthen the collaborative culture to empower students and staff by investigating in strategic time. Throughout his leadership journey, Mr. Williams has focused on creating a strong school culture by prioritizing differentiated staff development, fostering parent and community engagement, and leading initiatives that support positive student behavior, attendance, and academic progress. Whether through data-driven decision making or implementing the check bags initiative, stands for behavior, attendance, grades, social, emotional. Mr. Williams has consistently worked to identify and address root causes, ensuring every scholar has the tools needed to succeed. His belief in the power of collaboration and strategic time investment continues to drive efforts to create meaningful and sustainable growth in schools. Great stuff to the fam out there and the first timers. I got 3 more strong leaders on the platform. Hit the share button, hit the retweet button, hit the repost button, tag somebody, text somebody, hit up those Facebook leadership groups and let them know that we are here, we are live, and we are ready to go. I want to start with Dr. Jones, but I'm going to ask each of you this same set of 3 questions. But let me start with her. You know, when I put together the agenda earlier this week, and when I came up with this title, which I'm not going to use a whole lot in the presentation, but in the session, but when I came up with it, I said, in quotes, I can't wait to walk into the school or the building every morning, right? And when I did that, I took a risk. I made an assumption, right? I made an assumption for 3 people that I did not ask that question, that I can't wait, speaking for you all, to walk into the school every morning. So the three-parter, Dr. Jones, as it relates to who you are as a leader, did I get the title, just for you, did I get the title right or wrong?
So it's funny. When I saw the topic, the first thing I said, now, Principal Cafale, how you know
Right?
that I'm walking up in this school every day, ready to go? I said, well, let me think about that. But yeah, you know, in the true spirit of who I am, you know, it is important for me to have that joy. And, you know, some people get it twisted when I say I am here because I want to be, not because I have to be. So, you know, what that means is, I'm not saying that I can go anywhere anytime. What I'm saying is I love my job. I love what I do with my staff. I love what I do with my scholars. And most importantly, I love the fact that my families trust me to do the work. And so that means we go against the grain. We do what we need to do. We rumble when we have to, but we have a respect and love for everyone that's a part of the journey that we're in, right? So I do love it. Actually, I will say this. I'll take a little risk. I would rather be in my building than any other place in this world or in this system, because I can be authentically me. I can be PJ. That is the best title I have. I know you always push at me about the whole doc thing, but PJ is the name that I cherish most, to the point that I was in Tennessee last year and someone called me by my real name. I did not acknowledge it until someone said PJ. And I turned around and said, okay, hey, and they have been calling me for quite a bit. But that just lets you know, yes, I do love what I do. I love walking into the building. I love the people that I work with. My staff, they don't work for me. They work with me. We work alongside each other. We all are experts in what we're doing. And so because we built a team of excellence, the journey is awesome. It's excellent. We're doing the work of kids, and we don't forget that. And so, yes, I do. I'm not going to say there's days when I call Jerod and say, but I do. I'm happy when I walk into the door, especially when I see those little people and how much they realize that the right person is in the seat.
That's right. Before I go to my second part of this 3-part question, let me holler at my mother real quick. My mother's always on here. Hey, Ma, yeah, I know you noticed I shaved, right? because I know my mother's tripping right now, right? Ma, you see all this stuff that's coming with age, man. My wife probably tripping right now too. So we probably gonna grow it back, Ma. You know, I don't like how I look on this camera right now. All right, Ma, settle down and focus on the content, right? So with that question, I mean, with that statement, I can't wait to get in the building. Let's go deeper with it. What is it, like you said, that's the place you want to be on the planet. What is it about Love Creek, though, that you want to be in there?
We are, the name of our school is who we are. When you walk in, no matter who you are, you feel the love. You feel the embrace. It's like a warm hug. You know, I have so many people that visit us on a regular basis. And the one thing that they always say is, I feel welcome. You know, there are times people will look at me and say, I didn't realize you were the principal. That's good. That's great. Because I'm not a principal-y principal. So you should feel welcome when you walk into our building, and there should not be this strong level of hierarchy that you feel as though you're not comfortable enough to speak to the person that's in that seat at that moment. Yeah. And so our staff knows that they can come to me in love. We do what we do. There's no problem of being honest about what you feel, but you better bring a solution to it. And so there's times when we have faculty meetings and I literally say, wait a minute, let's stop. We need to rumble. I love Brene Brown. Let's rumble. Let's break it down. I'm not having a meeting after a meeting. What is it that we need to deal with? Because my job is to support you and your job is to support my scholars. And if my scholars are happy and healthy, then my family trusts us to do the work. And so we have to get out of our own way, but we have to do it in love. So, you know, the reason we're educators is because we think here. Sometimes we think here too much, but I found in our building, the more we maximize on the title of our school, the name of our school, the better we are equipped to do the work.
Love it. Love it. Part C. So with everything you said in parts A and B, what is the evidence that you want to be? To use my language in the title, that you can't wait to be in that building.
I want to be the building that everyone wakes up and regrets not coming to I want that. I want that for my scholars. I want that for my staff. You know, I want you to wake up and say, oh man, I hate to say this, I can't come to work. Not, oh man, this is a great day, I'm not going to work. You know, and be ready to do the work, because the thing is it is our job as leaders to make sure that we have the right people at the table, to make sure that they're there for the right reason and that they're doing the right work. And the big thing that we forget as leaders is if we're constantly having to go and check and see if they're doing it, then they're not invested. They don't love it the way we love it. You need to be doing it as soon as PJ turns her head. You still need to be doing the work, which is why when my supervisor says, when should I come? Don't matter to us, because we're always ready. I don't feel like I have to get over the loudspeaker and say, take the chains off the door, take the chains off the doors. No, because we're doing the work and we love our scholars. And also, if we're not for you, there are so many people that are standing in line to embrace the love. I'll help you to grow, or I'll help you to
grow or help you to go. I love it. You know, I wanted, when I was putting this together, I said, I really want to hear the three of you with this same question. So I'm gonna go right over to Dr. Phillips, and same letter A, as it relates to who you are as a leader. You know, going back to the question or the statement, I can't wait to walk into the building every day. Did I get it right or wrong as it relates to you, Doc?
Man, you hit the nail on the head. Just simply if I'm waking up and I got a little something going on, my kids are like, Dad, you need to stay home. My wife looking at them, and then she's like, y'all know he ain't staying home. That's out of the question, because those scholars, those babies, that school climate, that's just the school climate needs me. The fact that even when the parents don't see me outside, it's like, is everything all right? We ain't seen them. And it can just be a meeting that ran a little long where I couldn't get out front to greet. But the fact that I get the opportunity to affect young minds every day and teachers, that just gives me a sense of purpose. And that's the ministry that God has called me to be in. And I was just talking with someone about this yesterday. We are on the eve of one of the greatest sporting events, which is the Super Bowl. And every player, whether they get a minute of playing time or play the whole game, has went through a teacher, a principal, or something. Every player on both of those teams is going to have at least one teacher watching, even if they don't like either one of the teams, just to see their old student play in the Super Bowl or either be on the sideline. So if I can be a leader that affects that, every year I got to be strategic, because here in Delaware, you only can carry over so many vacation days. And COVID allowed us to carry over more, but then I got to the point where I started losing days because I wasn't taking them. So I'm very strategic on when I got to take a day, just because I got to burn a day, because I want to promote to my teachers of consistency, and this is how you get up and get after it every day, and not just taking days off because it's a 90-degree Friday and it would make a great beach day when nobody's in Rehoboth or Lewis. That's why I get up and do it every day and go into that building.
Yeah. So you kind of answered that second part when I asked, why can't you wait to get into the building? Would there be anything else to add to that, though? Just what is it about that school that you just can't wait to be in there?
It goes to data. All my scholars aren't proficient in reading. So if I'm taking days off and being lax, that shows my staff that they can take days off and being lax. And then we're missing our collaborative planning time on how we're looking at the data and where students are. And I can't help facilitate or either go hunt, gather, and defend and find them resources that teachers need to get those scholars to the next level. So that's the only thing I would add is I can't stop until we get everybody to where they need to be.
I'm just going to chime in, Jerod. What we say, 45 out of 50.
Yeah, that nationwide data we talk about. I think every conversation that me and Equetta have, that since that data came out, no conversation we've had doesn't mention that. And I'm like, we're better than that, and we're going to show them. So that in my mind, waking up every morning is, United States, we're going to show y'all that statistic is not who we are here in this state.
Wow. I love the collaboration too. So if I was in your building and just to myself watching the dynamics of the school, which is inclusive of you and your leadership capacity, what would be the evidence that this leader really likes being here?
So, one, if they don't see my car parked, they're like, where is he at? So they know where I am. They know I'm present. They see me. They know they can come to me. They know I like being here, because when I walk into a classroom, I'm fist bumping kids. If I'm leaving the classroom, even if I'm just watching for something, I'm giving a thumbs up, keep up the great work. And it could even be in a moment where they are basically correcting or redirecting the child's behavior. I might just crack a joke and just walk up to teacher. Yeah, what you said, get after it. Like I'm gonna support them. So if you're a teacher, if you're a teacher in my building, you're gonna know that I like being there just by the way we hop on top of issues and concerns that help you maximize instructional time. And today's society, I think that is the main thing that teachers are looking for. What can my leader do to help me? Whereas from bell to bell, I'm not calling the office. I'm not using a walkie. I'm not having a revolving door of bathroom breaks. Them seeing every day just trying to get better, as well as admitting when I don't know the answer, or when, I could have made a better third grade team. I could have made a better decision here. Y'all were right. Let's go with your idea and tweak that thing. Yeah. All those things just show teachers that I want to be there every day to help them every step of the way.
Love it. Principal Williams, I can't wait to get back in the building. I can't wait to walk into the building every day. Did I get it right or wrong?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, just honored to be with these two amazing educators, and of course being on with you.
Yes, sir.
And you got it right. You got it right. And I tell you this, there's one of the quotes that I've seen, because I love different quotes and a positive mindset, but one that resonates with me is, my passion wakes me up, no alarm clock needed.
Yeah.
And so what both of those educators were talking about, if you walk into our buildings, you walk, near us, it's a vibe, right? It's that vibe, and it's that positive energy. And it's every single day is an opportunity to unlock success for someone every day, right? Getting it closer to their future. So I've been really lucky working at the elementary, middle school, and high school level. And so seeing that K-12 pipeline. And so, I have amazing educators at the high school I'm at now. And what we've been talking about is, man, we are the exclamation mark to the educational journey for our young people, right? But then it doesn't end there, right? So how are we going to unlock the next step? So, we're excited about the day, right? Like those high fives, those fist bumps, those CEO handshakes, right? Like seeing so many young people coming up to me on a daily basis with a smile. And I asked them, a lot of times, what's your highlight this week? And I had one young man tell me yesterday, and he just said, I'm just here every day clocking in. And like, when we say that, that's when we're moving that needle, right? When you can get it to the personal level, to the student level. So the passion, it's about how can we connect? How can we, build on that success that they maybe haven't figured out yet, right? Or they've had some success. Okay, let's go and kind of continue to build off of that. So I tell you what, Principal Kefele, having me be third, I'm over here with the shakes. Right now, like, let me jump in, like double dutch. Can I tag in and talk about, being excited? But I think, we get to be in a role where we can motivate our staff so that they can motivate our young people to reach that full potential. So that's the fun part.
I love it, man. You said something early on, and I got stuck there, and I was going to cut you off. I said, no, let me let him go. You referred to yourself as this exclamation point.
Yes, sir.
I want you to go deeper with that. What are you saying? Like I want you to consider that there are a lot of aspiring leaders watching right now, not just folks who are in the trenches, but there are a lot of aspiring folks who it looks like it's something I want to do, but really don't know what it is just yet. What are you saying with that exclamation point?
Absolutely. So we have, some mindsets, right? Don't get ready, but stay ready. Well, what does that mean? Well, first of all, when you're taking your educational journey, it's thinking about, well, what is your leadership style? What are those words that showcase who you are as an educational leader, right? So those that are listening, what are the three? So for me, I'm positive, I'm team oriented, and also I want to help people reach their full potential. So all the things that I'm going to touch, I'm going to be involved in. When I was a basketball coach, and if you would have walked into a little youth clinic, you would have seen positivity, you would see huddles, you would see high fives, you would see people celebrating success of other people. If you walk into a faculty meeting, we've actually flipped our faculty meetings, and we've created this mindset where these aren't just, sit and get. No, we have these choose your own adventure PDs where staff can kind of pick what type of PD that they want, because the worst possible thing is having an educator sit in a situation where you're wasting my time. That's that exclamation point, right? It's knowing your people. It's knowing, like you mentioned earlier, your students, your families, your staff. But how do you do that? Well, you got to be visible. You have to be relatable, but you have to be your authentic self, right? And so having that exclamation point, that doesn't wait till Friday, right? Like, man, we always say, and I got a lot of colleagues that I see it in their emails and I hear it in their communication, but it's happy Monday, happy Tuesday. Pick the day. Because if you're always like, I don't feel like doing it today, well, if you have that mindset every Monday, you wasted 1/7 of your life. So clock in every day, squeeze every ounce of success out of those moments. Because, we get to do this, like Dr. Jones said, right? It's just a mindset, right? And at exclamation point, it's wrapped with love, right? If it's a hard conversation, we have high expectations. I love you enough to hold you accountable.
Wow. You know, I got to go off script for a second. There's a part of me that said, don't do this, but there's another part that said, go ahead and do it. It's not unnoticed that the two of you brothers have shirts and ties on.
Yes, sir.
And folks that know my work know that that's who I was as a principal and a teacher. I have to ask you, I'm off script now. I have to ask you, and either one of you can go first. Why are you wearing a shirt and tie on this platform this morning?
So I can jump right in there. So my style throughout the week switches up. Theme days, element, you know, I come from a secondary background, so I wasn't used to all these different theme days, so they really got me into it. But for those aspiring, and I'll just do the jean jacket on for a little effect, little Cam Newton thing going on, just a little joke. But the shirt and tie represents how we need the young brothers and the young men showing up when they're going to present themselves. If you're going for an assistant principal job, don't come in there with the button up, open up, not even a jacket on, with your sneaks on, shirt not ironed, a sweater with no tie. No, like you may never be able to recover from that presentation district that you are applying for. So I wouldn't advise anybody. Now, once you get on the job and they know your different style and you got the shirt, the tie, the jean jacket, and the theme days, like that's whatever your climate. But when that superintendent and that board sees me, you're gonna see shirt and tie. My beard is gonna be tightened up. So most of my first interviews, all of this was off. None of this came until people knew who I was, and I could evolve into that because they knew my work and I wasn't coming in there any kind of way. So for those on this on this platform, you can't go for anything outside of the classroom. Men, don't show up with nothing other than a shirt, tie, suit, jacket, pants, dress shoes. You just don't do it. I'm just my man, point guard principal may have a different take, but I advise you don't do it.
Dr. Phillips, I'm right with you. I mean, I'm wearing it for a couple of reasons. One, being a role model and certain, as educators, educators are superheroes, right? When you look at different superheroes, they have a certain outfit, right? Certain way to dress. So for me as a principal, this is my superhero outfit. And I go back to the time when, when I was a basketball coach, I was coaching in a suit. So now as I'm a principal, I'm not going to dress down. Shout out to my dad, Dr. Williams, man. When he was a coach, I was his ball boy, and I did not get on the bus as an 8-year-old unless I had a tie on. And so then when I became a coach, that tradition passed on to me. So kind of what we want to share out there to young folks or aspiring administrators, your look and how you present yourself, right? How you carry yourself. It's important, but being your authentic self, it's in there as well. So like Dr. Phillips is able to kind of flip it and have his swag with it. And I got my pocket square on there with it, but you make it come alive. But it's so important to be able to dress the part, right? Because our young people are looking up to us, and it's a great chance for us to be role models for them.
I love it. I just got to applaud. Because see, I'm old school. In fact, I always tell my audiences, especially my leadership audiences, I'm old school. So I'm not showing up any other kind of way because I'm modeling for them kids. And the beauty was I was able to model for my male staff, and now they came in their shirt and tie as well. Of course, we got the dress downs and the themes as well, but I still wanted to make sure that there were times that we just gonna uphold this profession as a staff. I'm gonna do it all the time through my shirt and tie. And then ultimately, a lot of people know I had my entire student body. My males in shirt and tie, and as the sister just said, Erica Gunter, I had my young ladies doing the same thing, you know, with their business professional attire, right? So I just had to ask you about that because you know, it's me. You know, I feel like I'm looking at a reflection of myself when I see you right now, right? So, of course, on the Saturday Academy, I rock the Negro League jerseys, right? That's
Love it.
I got about 100 of these upstairs. So we rocking the Pittsburgh Crawfords today, right? So, so real quick, so we can go to the next one, Principal Williams. Therefore, hang on. Hey, yeah. So therefore, I'm in your school and I'm just, you know, I'm not noticed. You know, I'm just there. What's the evidence of everything you just said that I would see? Oh yeah, that's he definitely can't wait to be here.
You asked a great question. So I was actually asked that question during an interview, and I just said, it's when you walk into the building, it's going to look, it's going to sound, it's even going to have a certain smell to it in a positive sense, of course. But you're going to hear positive conversations by our scholars. You're going to hear encouraging words throughout the building. You're going to hear our staff utilizing their essential question, those learning targets, right? You're going to hear hopefully those collaborative conversations, right? You're going to just hear and see that, man, people want to be here. Right. And also, too, what you're going to see is a game plan. If there's a young person who's struggling, some safe spaces for them, too, because the key is, you know, when we're building these successful systems and environments, we don't want people to do this when we're watching. It's that, you know, how do we have a vision, and then we get to create that vision, and other people now know it's our vision, right? Because once it's our vision, now they know what that standard is, and they're going to continue to have those high expectations. So you're going to see people coming up to you and introducing themselves. You're going to get CEO handshakes from individuals, and again, it's just that vibe that once you know that you're in there, it's a safe place, and you know, we want to continue to get better each and every day.
Love it. Let me go back to Dr. Jones. You know, according to your bio, and I quote, you are a dedicated leader, advocate, and parent who believes strongly in the power of inclusivity. And I'm putting heavy duty emphasis on the word inclusivity. So as I've been preaching in my monologues for the past two Saturdays, along with the words diversity and equity, inclusion is mired in controversy, right? So my question to you, and you know, we're not going to get into the politics of this, as I told you off camera, but why is inclusion not a bad word for you? And thereby, why is it so important to your work?
So my whole career as educator has been engulfed in supporting students with disabilities. And so, and then also, you know, the first piece of that is parent. I'm gonna roll back. So I'm a parent first, and now a grandparent first. And so if it is not good enough for my grandchildren, then it is not good enough for anyone. And so when I'm saying inclusivity, you know, my grandchildren are biracial children. They're Mexican and Black. And so when I'm hearing my staff speaking, I'm listening to how you're speaking about Landon and Elliot. I'm not just listening to hear how you're speaking about the scholars that you're serving that are in front of you. And so inclusivity means all, no matter who they are, where they come from, or who you think they represent. And so our staff, you can see it and feel it because they speak it. We went from having staff saying, this child doesn't belong here, I don't want them in my classroom, to now, why are they not here? What was that school doing? What were they thinking? How dare they do that? And also, every child is a general education student first.
Yeah.
And so we have this mindset that Equetta didn't send the broken one to me today just because. Equetta is sending the best child that she has every single day. And how do we recognize that? How do we embrace that? How do we cultivate that? And so we no longer have scholars walking through the creek with their heads down because they received their service in the place. We have scholars walking with their head high because they're embraced in the environment that they're in. We have a culture of servicing, not settings. And so all means every child gets everything they get every day. But not just that. So are our staff. We are constantly shifting the direction. You know, we have assistant principals that are in our building, but the reality is the principal shapes the culture. So whatever our vision is, you have to have people that are there to be willing to embrace it. So if you are saying all mean all, that also says that when I'm speaking of my staff, I'm thinking about how to grow them in love. If I expect them to grow my scholars in love, I'm saying I don't always want to look at my teachers now as you're a novice teacher or an experienced teacher. I'm looking at there may be situations where you may have novel areas of growth and be an experienced teacher, or be an experienced a novice teacher that we would title a novice teacher in the first 3 years that has more experiential experiences. And so really thinking about, I know we're not going there, but the whole equity versus equality thing.
You go there if you want to. I
know, I'm just saying, when we hire our staff,
when she gets started, you can't stop her.
No, but when we hire our staff, we want the best, right? But what we have to feel, what we're forgetting about when we're talking about inclusivity means not leaving anyone behind.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes as educators, as leaders, we say, oh man, Freeman is the best. He's awesome. He's arrived. But then we fail to continue to pour into him. We are not really including him. We're excluding him because in our mind in education, he's arrived. But as a leader, it is my job and responsibility to cultivate and innovate and allow him to continue to thrive and expand the knowledge that he has so that he can be the better example of those people who we've identified as novice.
Yeah.
And so inclusivity, it starts with me. You know, pulling my assistant principal in. Oh no, I love you, but you don't get to just deal with discipline. We are instructional leaders. We doing the work. We doing the thing. So we think inclusivity, we have this mindset it's just about our scholars. It's about the entire building. It's about the whole culture of a building. And when you start thinking about morale and things that are going on, if you really dig down deep to it, it's a culture problem and you're not including some subset within the building. And I'm going to get off my soapbox because Jerod already said I got started.
No, I'm going to jump in because I love what you shared when you were talking about the importance of putting your parent hat on, right? And as educational leaders, we get to, again, look at that perspective from as a parent. Look at that perspective, put that teacher lens on. Right? Thinking about it from, you know, all those different perspectives. And of course, every decision that we're making is going to be what's best for our scholars, right? Best for our young people. And so as you were unpacking that, I'm over here just like, yes, come on, keep going, because like you're talking about how do we build that team? How do we build that capacity? How do we make, you know, where every single student here can reach their full potential academically, socially, emotionally? You know, some of our young people, so many of them, they have these things that are in their bags, these just challenges that they're dealing with. And it's like, you know, we don't want our educators to have low expectations, right? But it's like, let's raise our empathy meters, but then keep the expectations up high, right? So in other words, like, understand what your young folks are going through, because the worst possible thing is to now that we feel sorry for folks. No, we don't want to feel sorry. We want to have a better understanding. And then, like you said, work together and figure out how to unpack things to help them be successful. So you keep going, because we're speaking the same language.
You got to start it.
No doubt.
You already know how I roll. I don't change. I am who I am, and you know, you just have to embrace it. I just really believe that if we're placed in these positions, we can't, as my brother says, lead scared. We have to do what's best. And so we have to do things intentionally and unapologetically. And so inclusivity means pulling you into my vision, but also giving my scholars the voice to say, hey, PJ, your staff ain't cutting it. Because they have to have a seat at the table. So I want my angels with broken wings. I have an ambassadors group. No. You don't get to just give me the ones that you love. I want to hear every scholar's voice, because sometimes they bring a perspective to me that I didn't even realize was an option. And so every child, no matter what they are or assumed to be, has a seat at the table, and they're not just serving a meal, they're partaking in the meal. And so when you walk in there, they don't have a problem whether they're identified with a 504 under IDEA, or if they had, under ADA, or IEP under IDEA, or whatever else it may be, MTSS tier 3, and all the things, poverty stricken, all those things that we get. They have a voice. And when you walk into Love Creek Elementary School, they don't have a fear to speak their truth. They're not ashamed. They are truly included in the day-to-day operations of what we do. And that's what it's a part of. Everybody at that school has a voice. And I'm not going to say that sometimes my feelings don't get hurt, but if you are truly a reflective leader, you have to realize that the culture that you've established has included all voices. So sometimes you are going to get pushed back. And sometimes you need a reminder that the tone that you set is not the one that you're continue to play. I'm going to shut up now.
No, I got it, later for this script for a little while, right? I got to stay with you. And the two of you can jump in here on this. So student voice. I talk about, with that word equity, I talk about my 3 equity non-negotiables: student individuality, student racial cultural identity, and student voice. Student voice matters to me. You talked about the fact, Dr. Jones, you were saying that the transformation of culture, or the shaping of culture is a better word, starts with the leadership, starts with the principal, you said earlier, about 10 minutes ago. So I'm considering always who I know watches this platform every week, whether it be the live or the video later. And it's a lot of aspiring folks that watch. It's a lot of APs that watch. So I want to go deeper with that student voice piece. How, as leader, do I create that culture of student voice where I can be vulnerable and be okay with being vulnerable when the voice doesn't reflect my values, or the voice doesn't reflect my worldview, or the voice makes me uncomfortable because it's coming toward everything I stand for? How do I create that culture and still be true to myself? I'm throwing it at you first, Doc, but the two of you can jump in as well.
I feel like first thing we had to do as a staff is embrace the work and be willing to accept our own biases and microaggressions. We have support to do that. And I will say, I'm confident in saying my staff is eons ahead of many, because we have that transparent conversation. For example, a lot of my staff wanted to use the word picnic. Well, very quickly I cringed and said, we don't use that word at the Creek. But I had to provide the why. And once they were informed, they now use the same language and they provide the why. So even me admitting that I have my own biases, my own microaggressions when it comes to certain things within the environment that I work in, helped us then to be able to relate to our scholars. You may not like what they're saying, but they do have a voice. I listen to you. I listen to your perspectives. I try to understand what you're saying and meet you where you are. But the biggest thing that we always ask each other, are you listening to respond, or are you listening to understand? And so when it comes to our little people, they are watching what we do. And the reason why they are so comfortable with it, it's a part of our culture. It's a part of our culture. Gone are the days of, well, why do we have to write this on this piece of paper instead of putting it in our iPads and using our voices? It's and then being put out of the class.
Yeah.
It's, well, let's think. Tell me more. Why do you think you should be able to use that device to do that? It's going from, oh, you're giving them an accommodation, and so that's a problem that they get this accommodation, to no, in order for them to be successful, they will receive what they need. But also listening to the student, I don't want to use that because you think I need it. You might think I need the multiplication chart, but I know how to make my own, and I can solve the problem better than the way that you were trying to get me to do with this piece of paper. So it took time, I think, really of me building trust and transparency, not only with the staff, but with the students, and most importantly, the families. Because you can't do one thing in the building and then do something else outside. So my parents will know in a minute. Okay, well, PJ said this. Now let me ask the student if she did it. And then they're going to say yes. And so I say, let's just eliminate the conversation. Let's just talk right now. This is what I said. This is what I did. And this is what I meant. Any questions? And you don't have a problem. If you have a problem with something, let's call ABC, NBC, CBS. And for those who watch sports, ESPN, because we are here for babies. Mm-hmm. And so if we don't hear their voice, we can't support them to be able to be more than 45 out of 50, because they deserve more than that. Yeah. And we can't keep doing the same thing that we've been doing. It's not working. It's not working. And how can you best, just like us, what we need, we have to express it. If we don't go to the scholar level, we're never going to be able to identify how they learn, how they relate, where they come from. Me using my hands to communicate doesn't mean Equetta's going to punch you in the face. It's just the culture that I live in. Me being loud is just, I'm passionate. Doesn't mean that I don't like you. So it's the willingness for the leader to be the example in their discomfort and allowing transparency and vocality, and then the teachers being able to take it to their level. So I'm not that principal that runs away from conversation.
So when it comes to the leader setting the culture, I used, Principal Kafele, you were the one that kind of flipped my thinking, listening to a lot of your work. I used to, when I was at Dean and AP, I used to be of the mindset of, when you got a high performance school, the principal could get away with saying, you know what, it's my teachers rocking it. And you flipped that narrative for me saying, no, that starts at the leader. And what I've came to realize is sometimes you have to, in order to get student voice, as a leader, you got to create a strategic disturbance. And what I mean by that is, when I came to my school, I started looking at who wasn't performing and what were some reasons behind it. And lo and behold, the cell, we only got to say it on here, you already know what cell it was. So I started creating some strategic disturbances. For example, anybody that's on here listening that's been in my school during announcements, they know that I end the announcements every day by saying the current Robinson Elementary time is 9 o'clock. It is time to learn. All hats, scarves, bonnets, headbands, do-rags, head wraps, and hoods should be off at this time, along with coats put away. Scholars, please do not put any of these items back on throughout the day, as this does take away instructional time from your leaders. So that created disturbance among some staff and some students, but it started a conversation on the why behind it. Because when I start looking at the referral numbers of those cells, the easiest referral for a lot of our young people to get is called defiance. And those defiance referrals was refusal to take off the hat or the hood for a teacher, that led to, if class supposed to start at 9 o'clock, teacher not getting started till 9:15, 9:20, because they battling back and forth with little Jerod. So I'm going to take that off the table. So that way every scholar gets those 15, 20 minutes back. And the main scholars that had a problem with it, it created dialogue and I don't have the time to get here. It created one-on-one dialogue in my office with me and the scholar and me and the parent of, we're from the same community. You know what's going to happen when little Jerod is, out there, not in school and in certain environments, and he's not adhering to the expectations and the policies and procedures of the environment he's in. So I want to teach him now that there are going to be some policies, procedures in certain environments that he may not agree with, but adhere to. That way he can get what he needs to get. And it gave me a chance to educate my teachers on that as well, about students that come from my community and some of the things that plague our community. And I'm happy to say that just implementing that, we get this school year, we've had 0 referrals for that. We have 0 students fighting against that. And my main 2 or 3 scholars that it was a battle for a year about it, they're sitting in 5th grade reading on grade level because they're not getting sent out. They're not getting referrals. They love coming to school because we know when they have a moment and need us, we got them. But it started with that one disturbance of, this is some things we can't continue. I'm here at Dre. I'm in a month. The hats and I'm seeing too much of it. So we're going to take that off the table. So it took me creating that strategic disturbance to open up that student voice. And now students you don't even got to say anything to a student. They can walk in the building with it on. Because they know by the time they hit the classroom door, they're taking it off and they're challenging their colleagues to do the same.
That's right.
Yeah, and I like too what both of you said, but as you were talking, it made me think of the importance of what are your tier 1 expectations that you have in the building, because we get the feedback from our young people and they kind of give us some information of where we can go. But then also you're obviously looking at your data and then you make those team-oriented data-driven decisions. But you have to make sure that you have really strong tier 1 expectations instructionally and also with your behavior expectations, because if you're just living in tier 2 and tier 3, then you're always trying to deal with a smaller cohort. But like when you give that shout out and those expectations across the board to your whole school at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, or at the beginning of the day, like you're setting the tone, right? So one of the quick pivots that I learned going from elementary school, so in a smaller setting, I knew I could get to all of my teachers before the day started, have a great day, check in, you need anything, great job yesterday, your kids, whatever that little, positivity is. But high school, I have over 200 staff members, right? And, a lot of us, when our young people get off of the bus, right away if so-and-so is about to have a bad day because we know our kids, right? Mm-hmm. At the high school level, I have multiple interests where I got my seniors coming in this direction, students coming off of the buses at this time. And so what I learned quickly was the strategy is still the same to make sure that I'm greeting everybody. But in a building of over 2,300 scholars, what I moved to was doing the morning announcements and hitting our tier 1 expectations. So starting the day, happy Saturday in this case, but happy Monday, riders are ready, respectful, and responsible. And then I have a quote or an assist, right? Because Principal Kifele, one of the things I loved about what you said about being intentional about moving your instructional needle. So all these things that we're talking about, right? Moving your climate. Well, you want to do it not just because we want to have a great space that our teachers are going to work in and that our young people are going to be excited to come. And like Dr. Jones said, man, I'm so mad I missed school. Say, look, we're so hyped. Cut the lights out on me. I'm back. Here we go. But like having that mindset of like moving the needle for your culture and climate, but it's going to impact instruction. Right. But how do you move as one? How do you row as one? Right. So having really solid tier 1 expectations is super important. I know we're doing some great work of building our MTSS at the high school level. And we've been getting after what we call checking our scholars' bags. And the root causes are looking at behavior, looking at attendance, looking at grades, and then social emotional supports. So you think about when you go to a restaurant, you can pick it. You look on the menu, you know exactly what I'm going to have for my appetizer. I know exactly what I'm going to have for my dinner. Mm-hmm. And I know my wife's listening, but I know what I'm going to have for dessert. I'll run that off. But in a school, we got to give it our initiatives and our strategies a name, right? So like if your deans are working with young people, so for us, we call them pep talks. And so if I can have alignment, because again, I have 6 amazing assistant principals, I have 3 amazing deans. If we don't give our strategies a name, and we can then duplicate those efforts with whatever that scholar is that's having those challenges, whether it's, this student's having issues because he's skipping. Well, why is he skipping? Well, he's skipping because he doesn't want to go to that language arts class. Well, why does he want to go? Well, have we checked his Lexile score? He's a 10th grader, but he's reading on a 4th grade level.
Mm-hmm.
Bing, 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 bing.
Mm-hmm.
Once you identify the root cause, then it takes off going back to your original question about getting to the student level and getting to their voice. So then when you build those connections with your young people and them understanding, and getting our staff to know, yes, they have a wall up. That wall is up to see who cares enough to knock that thing down.
Yeah.
Right. And so all of us were passionate. I know so many of us out there that are excited to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of us that are tired.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to find ways to recharge your batteries, because even when you think, whoa, today was a day and it wasn't the best, you know what? For some young person, you are the best. You made a difference for them. So continue to do that work each and every day. And you might, again, don't have a bad day, maybe a tough moment, right? But pivot and continue to have amazing circles that can pick you up when you kind of need to be, rejuvenated a little bit.
Freeman, you said something that I think is important. That whole Q-tip moment.
Mm-hmm.
Quit taking it personal.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes our scholars, the ones that they love the most, get the most grief. And so Principal Cafelli had asked something, but I know it's hard for some of us to embrace, but I am not the principal who stands outside at the front of the building or at the bus. I stand in the middle where all of my scholars can see me every day because they all know me. And so I can call them by name and greet them by name. And I know that is contradiction to what many people say. Oh, your AP should be at the buses and you should be a car rider. No, my staff is there.
Yeah.
But I want to be at the door, because when I see that scholar coming in with their head down, I can say, what's wrong? You need a hug? What happened? What happened?
Yeah. I'm with
or
that.
if they want to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to check on you later when I come around and do my rounds. So my scholars don't have a problem. Every class, matter of fact, yesterday I walked in the classroom, all the scholars got up and came and gave me a hug. Substitute didn't realize who I was. She said to the scholars, I'm in the middle of teaching a lesson. And I said, well, sorry, man, but this is what we do.
Yeah. Wow.
And then after she came out, she said, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were the principal. I said, it's okay. I'm not a principal-y principal. But then she said, but then I realized that's a good thing.
Yeah. That's special. That's special.
So, yeah.
And I want to stay with Principal Williams. To the fam out there, notice his name on the screen. It says Freeman Williams III at point guard principal. I want to delve into that now. I was waiting for this moment. You're known as point guard principal. My question to you: what is a point guard principal? And perhaps you may have to explain to someone else that doesn't know basketball what a point guard is. All right, but what is a point guard principal, and why have you embraced that title as your brand?
Sure. So in a lot of different sports, an assist is just an unselfish play that leads to somebody scoring a goal. So like in soccer, you can get an assist. In hockey, you can actually get a hockey assist, which is sometimes it can be a pass that leads to another pass, right? So involving multiple people into a goal. But in the point guard sense, so, point guard on the basketball sense, you're somebody who is the coach on the floor. You're able to kind of execute the different plays so that you can help other people have success. You have to have poise. You have to also be a very good communicator. So as a point guard principal, what I get to do is I get to give and receive educational assist. And so assist with an E, it stands for empowering students and staff by investing in strategic time. There's nothing more important than time. We can't get that back, right? So if I make a decision, when you were doing your doing this every Saturday, right? And so me putting my earbuds in and walking and then listening to all of the assist or the expertise or the knowledge that you were sharing, right? And so I was taking that and just getting motivated, right? So as a point guard principal, part of what, again, building a culture and climate so that we are giving and receiving educational assists. So how do I create capacity within my building? How do I empower my assistant principals to be amazing instructional leaders? How do we get to create, again, these proactive systems, whether it's your MTSS system, whether if you're a PBIS school or your Leader in Me school, whatever is that those initiatives that you're going at, but how do we get to be a we, right? How do we get to move that needle so that, like we said, we can get those successful outcomes? So the coolest thing for me is, I'll joke as I'm giving high fives or, I'm saying to folks, I'm like, man, I had a triple double today. I had 28, 15, and 10. What does that mean? Well, it means this. In a basketball sense, you had a really good day, but in an educational sense, I would say the first 10 of what I look to do, first thing in the morning, I want 10 minutes of me time, getting myself ready to roll, ready to get rejuvenated, right? So, again, if you're prayerful, get in the book. If you want to listen to your music. But for me, it's like I got about 20 minutes, at least 10, but 20 minutes to kind of get me going. The next 10 is during your course of your day. How do you spend 10 minutes to make somebody better? It might be one conversation for 10 minutes. It might be 5 conversations, where you're talking with folks for 2 minutes at a time, but at least 10 minutes. But the better you organize your systems are, you're now setting up other people that they're now having assist in these great conversations based on data, having these great, again, we have a school leadership team, and our school leadership team meets before our liaison team. And so when we have our great meeting looking at data and going over our agenda, we take that feedback and share it with members of our liaison team. So we're very transparent. So like there's no hiding information because we're one, we're not separated. And then that last 10 is, how do you make sure that you get these positive connections? So at least 10 positive connections. Now, much larger high school, I'll be honest, I'm way over 10. I want at least 2,500, I call them PCs, positive contacts in a day. So like when Dr. Jones is hugging her babies and she goes into her classroom, she got 25 positive contacts and 1 plus that substitute, right? And then how do we expand the positivity? Because just like we know, like you mentioned, the algorithm of things, right? Hit that like button. But guess what, educational leaders? If you aren't intentional in your building, the algorithm is negativity, and that multiplies. There's enough of that outside, but in these walls, we want to duplicate the positivity, those positive outcomes, the positive situations. Not kumbaya, but it's that collective efficacy, right? John Hattie's #1 indicator of student success. It's our belief that we can do anything. That's what the premise of that is, and again, the competitor in me is every single day we want to compete. So we had success the previous day. We have a saying, stack great days. So if you had success one day, go stack them the next day. So if your school doesn't have a motto, you need a motto, because that motto can be the work ethic for your school, for your stakeholders. So,
Point guard principal, you said you had a triple double. I might say you messed around and got a triple double.
That's right. That's right. Today was a good day. We just flip and say today was a great day. We stack great days over here. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want you to the fam out there, if I could holler before I go to Dr. Phillips. Keep that in mind. Point guard principal, not just principal. Because now you handing out these ESIS, right, with the acronym, right? You're handing out these assists all day. So it's not necessarily you with your hands and feet doing everything, especially to the new folks out there, but you throwing assists. However that might look, right? That point guard. So I might even hold up the mirror and ask the fam this morning. Let me clean the mirror, Josh. Are you throwing assists? Are you passing assists? Or is it just about you? Right? And you tired, you worn out, you frustrated. I have no work-life balance. I got no harmony in my life. Well, maybe you need to pass some assists to people that you have empowered to get it done, and perhaps can get it done at a higher level than you can get it done. See, I'm going to the Knicks game tonight. They play the Celtics. But if Jalen Brunson is not necessarily going to be dunking the ball all night, but if he could throw an alley-oop to Karl Anthony Towns and get the dunk, then the crowd going to go wild on the dunk and the pass that got him the dunk, right? The assist. Are you that point guard principal? That matters. That matters. Great stuff, man. Dr. Phillips, you know, your bio, 3rd grade reading proficiency has exceeded state and district standards. What is it about? I want you to hear this question really carefully too. What is it about your leadership? Not what is it about you, the leader? What is it about your leadership that lends itself to your 3rd graders exceeding state and district averages in reading?
You know what? That was a question I was asking myself when we got to that point. Not where we want to be, but the growth is right where we're trending there. One of the teachers on that team came to me and said, I would have never thought that we were growing like that, because nobody ever really talked or showed the data on a consistent basis or talked about it until I connected with you. So for me, that showed that all the lessons that I've learned from this platform, the other leaders I connect with, the principals I worked under that really preached that, it took root, and I was able to make it myself, because I presented in a different way than just stand and deliver. It really showed the teacher that, okay, these are my scholars, and these are the ones I can focus on this one, and then we can move the needle. I really took a lot of strategies for that 3rd grade. I really took from listening a lot when I was assistant principal to a lot of stuff that Principal Sean Hurt was putting out, because the district I was in, we used MAP, and as the AP, I was the testing coordinator. So I knew that he serviced a lot of schools that were MAP. So when he would be doing those videos, I'm digging into them, and it just paid off. And I really think teachers didn't realize that you got to look at it on a regular basis. Like with the curriculum we use, they got a data wall, like putting that in the newsletter and speaking to it and showing the whole building's data. Like, matter of fact, right while point guard principal was talking, one of my teachers text, because I didn't send a newsletter out this week, and she texted and said, I'm thankful that you, like, basically you ain't sent a newsletter out, but she kind of missed the data piece, because overall wanted to see where they're trending, basically. And that, to me, I think that's huge, that on a Saturday morning, that's on like student success. Even though she's off, student success was on her mind, and she sent a little GIF with it about students needing more than the curriculum and that love piece. So for me as a leader, I think growing, getting better at data analysis, and giving feedback to teachers when I'm in those classrooms, that will lend itself to students growing. So I think that being in classrooms more than maybe a lot of others, and speaking to it, and also knowing, being able to sit in a meeting with teachers, and they bring up a student name, and I can tell the teacher right where their data is. Like if you got a classroom of 20 and I'm sitting in a meeting with you and I'm telling you, like, oh yeah, he's a such and such read, like that's powerful. And I think that has helped move the needle, because it's like, oh, he ain't just talking it, he's actually living it alongside us. And I think that has really helped move that needle.
Yeah. Wow. Good stuff. And I know you all are going to continue to soar in your tested grade levels, under your leadership. And I always make that distinction between the word leader and the word leadership. right? Because as I always say on this platform, I like to go to a school and see, feel, experience the leadership without having to see the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know, making that distinction. You know, you all submitted some talking points to me, and I know we got deep into discussion and probably covered all of them. But let's see.
You got us excited, Dr.
No,
Kafeda.
no, it's all good. It happens every week. It's all good. Like I'm looking at Dr. Jones, this first one, and I know we went deep where you said, how do you ensure that all scholars are included? And obviously we spoke on it. Was there anything that you wanted to add to that though?
I think the piece that I missed is, chiming off of what Jerod just spoke to as far as the data piece, right? So when the previous culture was, I feel that this student should be here. I don't think that they should do this. Now we've coached up our teachers to have the mindset of, here's the data to show the full picture of what the scholars' needs are. And so that provides some level of inclusivity, but it didn't happen overnight. A lot of our educators assume that they understand data, but then they're looking at the wrong thing, or they're trying to get the data to speak to what they want it to say, not what's going to provide the success patterns for our scholars. And so when we're thinking about including them, we're making sure that we're programming effectively for them on a consistent basis. And so that also looks like my sit team sitting when we have a leadership meeting. No longer is it just PJ talking about all the organizational stuff. Organizational stuff, you get out of my newsletter.
Yeah.
Instructional stuff starts with my leadership team. And so we take time to delve deeply into the data, and we do that in a vertical way. It's no pointing fingers. Oh, well, kindergarten's not doing their job, so fifth grade they can't do this. No, we have to do this together. And so when we're in that room, is what is the work that you're doing? How is the work that you're doing helping us to achieve, or how is it hindering us? How can I help you as a fifth grade teacher in kindergarten to ensure that they know everything that they need to do, so when they get to me, I don't have a reason to point fingers?
Yeah. Talk to the younger leaders on the call, or the aspiring leaders, Dr. Jones, when you said that the operational aspects of the work are in the newsletter. Go deeper with that distinction that you're drawing for someone that may not even understand what you mean by that.
So we, as leaders, we only get a 45-minute planning period and a 1-hour faculty meeting to have interfacing time with our staff. And so with that being said, if we're wasting all of the time talking about, we have a field trip tomorrow, we have 3 presenters coming in this week, we have PLCs tomorrow, we have this, you have spent now 30 minutes when you could have been providing professional learning opportunities based on the observations that you have made during your cycle. Right. So what we analyze it as, it could have been in an email. How many of us say from our own supervisors, why you just didn't send that to me in an email? Did I really need to sit here and listen to that? So we have, it takes trial and error, because every building doesn't have the same process. Everything doesn't work for every building. So we've established everything that we have now goes on an Outlook calendar. We realize paper calendars don't work at Love Creek. It goes on the Outlook calendar. Everyone has access to it. Everyone knows what's going on day to day. When it comes to facility uses, if you need, we have a system called School Dude. Look in School Dude and find out what's going on in the building. If there's something that you have going on our equity team, our culture team, our math team, we have specific teams of actions that set the tone for these things, and they meet monthly. That is in my newsletter. If you need to delve deeply in it and you have a question, the SIT team member needs to get the question, bring it to our SIT meeting, and then take it back to your team, because I paid them. And so really being intentional about the time that we as leaders have in front of our staff, which are really our students. And if you're going through and you're trying to provide actionable feedback and you realize that there is a problem in the system, then you need to deal with that while you have them whole group. Taking and talking about organizational things at that moment is taken away. I know we love Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, but if you were spending a whole hour going through everything you posted on Twitter and Facebook with your staff, that's really a good use of your time.
That's right.
You know, or even just, you know, and also utilizing your team. You hired the right people to support your vision. So if you're there and they're providing that professional learning during those PLCs and during those faculty meetings, you're just there to help support the vision because they've already embraced your vision. And so you hired them to coach and build and grow. Give them that opportunity to do so. We don't always have to be the mouthpiece.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm coming across, and so okay, you got it. I've lived in this house for a long time. Throughout my principalship, I'd sit right over there, and on Sunday morning, I would start writing my weekly bulletin between 7 and 8. And at 10 o'clock, once I felt it was just what I needed to be, I hit send. So that was the culture of our school, that we know he's going to send this thing. It'll be in our inbox at 10. It doesn't mean that my staff is going to read it at 10 or 11 or at any time during that day, but they knew it was there. Because when that staff meeting comes, I'm not addressing anything in that bulletin, nothing, right? You read that. For this staff meeting, we're talking about teaching and learning. Right, of the students, of the zip codes that are enrolled in our school. That's all we talking about. We ain't gonna. I'd spend 3 hours writing a bulletin, and then we gonna discuss it in the meeting. Now y'all read that, y'all professionals. Now let's talk about these young people.
It's your professional responsibility to read that newsletter.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you too, one thing for like those new educational leaders out there as well. So if you can get your feedback from your staff and then leverage exactly what they're talking about. So in other words, before I got to this building, before I got to another elementary school, when I was elementary principal, I asked a couple questions. First question, what traditions do you value at this school? If you're on an administrative team, what would you focus on? What challenges do we face? And so one of the things that was shared was, don't waste our time during PD. And also don't share information during a faculty meeting that you could send during an email.
Yeah, it is.
And so one of the things that we then did was we took that information, kind of packaged it together into big rocks or our 4 big areas for our school initiatives. And so exactly what you're saying, like when we had that faculty meeting, and it's so funny, like we flipped the model where we're doing choose your own adventure professional development, and it's breakout sessions, and we had 7 of them, and I had some great staff members jumping in, and I gave them shout outs to the presenters and shout outs to the educators for being instructional leaders. Because like Dr. Jones was saying, like it takes time, right? So, you know, we model as educational leaders. So I'm with the microphone and I'm excited for the PD. I'm modeling, you know, I'm an instructional leader. We're going to be instructional leaders. Let's move this needle. We're going to move it with this great PD today. Shout out to the presenters, making sure that your cell phones are down, be professional. Of course, again, you're setting those expectations. And now let's make this culture of learning so that we can have high expectations for ourselves. Because again, as educators, we can't want our students to do what we're not going to do ourselves. So if we're not going to be engaged during PD and we're not going to be collaborative during PD because we much rather be on our phones, but then we can't then be upset if our students do it. So again, we get to kind of create that culture of learning in our building. And, you know, exactly what was shared previously. And it's exciting, right? When you see that change, you know, when I had my achievement liaison teacher, my academic dean say, man, Mr. Williams, we got people asking when's the next PD. And I'm like, they're asking for a faculty meeting. Check. Love it, right? But we've changed the model, right? So keep being innovative.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Let me move on. I see that time racing on us. Dr. Phillips, part of this is on the screen, and where you see the 3 dots at the end, I got to read it because they only give you 200. So it says, build for the fam, build a leadership team that complements your strengths by seeking individuals with skill sets you may lack, people who bring fresh perspectives and expertise that enhance the team's collective capacity. Once again, that enhance the team's collective capacity. What are you saying to us?
What I'm saying is, in order to move the needle in any school, that core team, when I say that core team, I'm talking about, and some of these strategies I've learned from my wife when she was in a different role. When you're trying to really move the needle, those core team members, your AP, we got achievement liaison teacher, math coach, reading specialist. All of us shouldn't have the same mindset. We shouldn't walk alike, talk alike, just like mirror images of each other. Like, I need some people that are behind closed doors, as Equetta would say, that's going to rumble with me like that. Like my reading specialist math coach. Oh my God, I tell them quite often, man, I feel like my wife is up in here. Like, they will, hey Doc, we gotta talk. Close but it's all about moving the instructional needle. And a lot of times they're coming on behalf of something, that a conversation they may have had with staff about some curriculum work. So it's not like, but they're not. This is the key thing: building a leadership team that will do that behind closed doors, so that way you have a united front. Because when we get in a staff meeting and presenting, I don't need my AP standing up saying something that's contradictory of the work. I don't need my achievement liaison team. And some principals fall into that loop because I'm just gonna say it, they're hiring their friends, they're hiring this person. I will hire a complete stranger if their references check and they got a skill set that I need, that I'm weak on. I'm bringing you onto the team, and look, this is where we're gonna rock. Like,
Yes.
I don't need a building full of friends in order to move these needles, because I learned something from a good friend of mine, and he said he refers to his staff as a team and not a family. And I said, why that? And it totally flipped my mind. He said we all have at least 1 or 2 family members in our family that involved in something that we don't want to discuss, and we're always going to make excuses for them. He said, it like that name comes up and we're not going to discuss that. He said, if I'm considering my team a family, if they're doing things that is hurting kids in the classroom, I might make excuses for them, but that's not a team. We look, you'll see Philadelphia, what happened. Maxey called out Embiid professionally to step up. That's all we got to do in the schools. We got to be able to call those of us in our leadership team behind closed doors out professionally to step up. So when we go out there and we're leading, the work is getting pushed. This is one of my areas, Principal. I feel passionate about this, because a lot of instructional moves aren't happening in schools because you're not building the right team, or you're keeping the wrong person on the team for too long. Like, Jerod Phillips is not the principal for everybody. I get that.
Said that yesterday.
I get that. Don't hang around if I'm not the principal for you. Yeah. But me as a principal, I can work for almost any superintendent, because if I have a problem with something that a superintendent like is pushing to the principals, nobody will ever know it, because that's going to be a conversation that I have with him to, hey, Soup, I know this is the work that we're pushing, but I got this going on in the building. How can we marry the two? I'm not discussing that when all my other principal colleagues are around. That's me and him. Like, so like the leadership team is key in upholding them, and they gotta have strengths that I'm weak on. Where I can delegate and say, you are way stronger than me in this, so you don't even got to worry about me micromanaging it. But if it falls in the cracks, we're gonna have a conversation.
That one voice is important.
Yeah, I love it, because the other way is grandstanding.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm not going to do that, because I need that superintendent at all times, right? And I don't want to say something or do something that now this person's looking at me side-eye. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I also want to just add, I think we as leaders are very critical of ourselves. But sometimes we have to walk in a sense of humility. And like Jerod was speaking, sometimes we may say things that unintentionally contradict a vision. So we have to be also bold enough to be able to apologize. So, when we think so fast, we move so quickly. And so you have to be able to be transparent. If you make a mistake, it's okay. We're human. We're not meant to be perfect. But you have to be bold enough in your leadership to go to your supervisor and say, you know what? I don't think I thought that through. How can we develop our relationship, rebuild trust, because you broke trust, and create an environment in which we can help our scholars and our staff to thrive. Don't shy away once that thing has been brought to the surface. Deal with it and grow from it. Don't make excuses. Don't point fingers. Don't blame people because you're the leader. Because ultimately, think about it. If we start to blame people and point fingers, then our staff can do the same thing to us. So
That's right. That's right. That's right. Let me go to the next one. What we'll do because of time, we'll do 2 each. So we on the third of number 1, first round with point guard principles. So let me get back to where I was here. And you said building capacity and growing leadership through the building using the coach to coach model and implementing proactive systems, MTSS, PBIS, bags, initiative department, connectors. I know you talked somewhat about this, but anything you want to add, or would you like me to go to a different one of your talking points?
No, I can hop in and unpack that. I think too, and it kind of marries what both of my colleagues were saying, but I think when you're supporting your staff, right, one of the things to think about is what are the barriers that are there that are maybe unintentional or maybe intentional, right? So how do you go, we call it barrier hunting, right? Like looking at what are these things that aren't right that you can take away, because with some of our amazing staff, really, they just need you to get out of their way. Just get out, like let them be great, right? But again, it goes back to the alignment, goes back to your systems, goes back to, making sure that everybody understands what the vision and the mission is. But once they have that, then let's roll. Then the other thing is, I think it's some other folks may need some support. So then it's understanding, making sure that they get the support that's needing, right? So if you have coaches in your building, is there a strategic plan how to support them? I know many of us have teachers that are getting into the profession and they didn't get the traditional in-service training from a college or university. So what's your support system for some of those newer teachers, right? So again, the more that we're looking at ways to build that capacity and again, taking barriers away and then supporting folks as needed, it just helps to get those outcomes that you want for your students. And the coach-to-coach model that's just being strategic with how, again, we're empowering, the great staff members that you have. Because if you hire people, why are you going to micromanage everything that they do? Because if I have to check everything that you're doing, why do we have that person in that role? Right. So, but those are the things, like I said, we just want to think about the department connector concept. How can you shrink your building? So again, secondary level, many of us have department chairs, but we've added a department connector because in our district, we actually have connectors from our district office that meet with every principal. And so that concept has worked for us district level to admin. So I'm like, well, why can't I do that in our building to shrink it? So a department connector is just somebody who the department chair has selected that can help just check in with staff, can just be somebody that, again, can help with that pipeline. Because like my colleague said, when the information comes your way, we want to be able to do something. And everything doesn't always have to come to you. It can come to other leaders in your building, and they can handle those low-level situations as needed before it becomes a much bigger issue as well.
You said something when you were talking about if I hired the person, why am I monitoring you at your every move? Let's go off topic for a second. Talk to us about the significance of knowing how to recruit,
Mhm.
how to interview, how to ultimately make the decision that this is the person for the job versus, and let's put the shortages and all that to the side for the moment. So all things being equal, talk to us about the leadership or the leadership team. If it's a team of people to interview, talk to us about the significance of that role toward bringing in the best possible people.
Yeah, so when we sit down, we have our interviews. One of the things I will always say, if I'm interviewing on a committee within my building or at the district level, I always will ask, is this a star? Is this a person a star? Because if they're not a star, we're not going to settle. We're going to have to repost, because we want to be in a situation now. Again, you may see someone where you see potential, right? And we can develop them to that star. But it's important to have diverse views at the table. A lot of times I've had people say, "Thank you for including me in this situation," because I haven't been on a committee before, and that's important, right? So that you have different people with different perspectives, like Dr. Phillips mentioned before, because I'm not the only expert in this building.
Mhm.
In fact, I've told people, you're not going to come to me for every situation, every issue, right? That's not the pipeline. So the people that we're bringing in, we want to make sure that we're bringing in people that match our philosophy. And so, but I've also shared the people that are interviewing, they want to do their homework in making sure that our building matches their philosophy, right? Because we don't want that disconnect, And so what we're looking for is, as we're kind of getting after it, is like we reflect, we talk, and then it's like, is this person a good fit? I always go last during the interview committee because I don't want to sway the opinion of the folks that I'm asking for their time. Because now I'll come in, if my gut's not right, I'll be honest and have a conversation like, I don't think it's a good fit. But again, it goes back to trusting your team and empowering your team, because we don't think exactly alike, but we think enough similar ways that complements the mission of the building.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. That's necessary stuff for someone who's got their sights set on leadership, or someone in an AP capacity and not being exposed to the various facets of leadership. And now all of a sudden I'm thrust into leadership, into principal leadership. And now I don't understand that whole interviewing process because I've never participated in it before, So good stuff. Let me go back up to Dr. Jones. I got to skip something because one of them you definitely broke down. Here we go. I think this is a question that everybody on the call would like to hear your answer to. How do we engage families? And one of the things, before you jump in, that I noticed, you didn't ask the question, how do we engage parents? You use the word families, which is a whole different genre, right? Sometime when I go out and do parenting workshops, they won't ask me to do a parenting session. They ask me to do a family engagement session. That's a whole different preparation. So what's your response?
So I look at all of my families as partners. I have an open door policy. The same way when I walked into my building, I sat down with my staff. I opened the door to sit down with my families. If they wanted to come, the door was open. What do you need from me? What do you want to see in me? What does your ideal principal look like? To give me some perspective of what they felt and how they felt. But also, I'm the principal that will drive around the trailer park or the local city streets if need be, and go to the bus stop and say hello and go to them, so I can really get an understanding of where they come from. It's one thing to invite people into the building, right? That's my safe space. But to get up in the morning, get in your car and drive to the bus stop and stand out there and talk to those families, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Because you are now in their environment.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to go into their environment, they are now believing your investment in them. And so they're more willing to engage. And so we're not one-sided in, we only have a newsletter, but I do send out a newsletter, but I make sure that it's in all languages, not just English.
Yeah.
All languages, so that all families can engage. And sometimes that takes spending some money. being strategic in every week, the message goes out at the same time.
Mhm.
When I realized it wasn't reaching all of my families, okay, well, not that many of you want to go on a computer, but you all have a cell phone. Let me start texting my messages to you because the paper thing wasn't working. And so really trying to identify the needs of the families so that they feel like I want them there. We can say we had this night, we had that night, we did that, but then how many people really show up? Is it the same 5 parents that come to every activity you have? Well, then you're not engaging all families. Are you embracing all units? Are you reminding people when they're questioning when you're doing things that we work in a public school? And that it's not just about you. I'm here to represent every being in my building. And so because I chose to work in a public school system, all means all. And so I take that time if a family comes in and they're crying and sit with them. Yes, I'm that principal. I will take you to the gas station and put gas in your car. I will go to the grocery store with you. I have braiding hair in the drawer in the lobby, and I'm braiding hair. I have brushes. If you want a haircut, I can't do it, but I will get somebody who can. And I don't care what you look like. That's engaging families.
Wow.
It's not always about the PTO meeting. We have to get away from that. If you don't believe in the way someone worships, just the fact of you saying, I saw it, or I heard it, or I appreciate it is important. But also understanding it. I make room in my building for scholars that need to have prayer in specific places. Is it my belief set? Maybe not. But I am engaging the families. I want to know what you need so that I can make you comfortable and you trust that I'm doing the work for your scholar. And so it goes well beyond the whole, we had a meeting and we had a focus group, because the same people are going to be at the focus group. You know you arrive when you're touching the people that don't usually exist.
That's powerful stuff, you know, and it certainly captured that talking point about engaging families. I mean, you're going above and beyond. You know, you braiding hair, you doing all sorts of things, and you know, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. Where are we at? Number 5. Dr. Phillips said, prioritize giving opportunities to individuals who have demonstrated hard work and leadership potential. And even if they don't have the advantage of connections, because talent and I'll finish it here, dedication should outweigh the who you know factor. So again, because talent and dedication should outweigh the who you know factor. What are you saying to us?
So I'm speaking to experience when it comes to when you're trying to build your team, not just your leadership team, but when you're putting teachers in front of kids, you're trying to get the best, kind of like what point guard principal said. I'm looking for stars. And then we have some people that are stars in the making, and our state being so small, I love connecting with other people and being my authentic self. So that way, when there are teachers or other teacher leaders looking for roles that may open up where I'm at, there are people that may say, I saw you got this position open and this person may be applying. I don't know a lot of these people that are applying. However, because that person that said they're applying knows what I stand for and knows my mission, my vision, my work with kids, they may say, nah, that might not be the building for you. So like that, the outside people may even go on and filter that for me. But when those applications come in, I'm looking not just if I know the name or if they're connected with someone I know, I'm looking at their body of work. We live in an area where we got the Air Force Base right here. So some candidates may have worked in 4 or 5 schools within 5 or 6 years. Should I rule them out because their resume or application look like they got a lot of movement? Their spouse is getting moved every year or so they're naturally going to have a lot of movement. So I'm looking at the body of work and the potential every open vacancy I had this past year was probably filled by someone that I never worked with or didn't know. And three of those people are on my leadership team, and we are really getting after it because they had the potential and they just kept getting overlooked in other areas. And I saw something that I said, I'm going to be the one to take the extra work to cultivate this thing, because they can be the future leader in our district somewhere. And if I can help push the vision and mission of where I am to help get more the best in front of our scholars, just by doing a little extra work, to make sure that I'm not just like, dismissing this applicant because I don't know them, but their body of work speaks to that they've done some great work for kids. That's what I mean by this particular talking point, because I know in our profession, it's not always done, and it's a lot of people sitting in paraprofessional roles that should be teaching. It's a lot of teachers sitting in teacher roles that should be a reading specialist or math coach somewhere. There's a lot of APs sitting in AP seats that have the instructional prowess to lead a school to the next level, but because they don't have all the other, they can't get their foot in the door. But I just want to be that leader that changes that narrative to be able to get that person in the door and just sit back and watch them go and just see them thrive.
Yeah. No, that matters. That matters. Anybody want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I'll hop in too. Two quick points, right? Being intentional with that pipeline. Yes. Love that, Dr. Phillips, right? Having that pipeline of who's up next, who's taking this baton, right? So that we can help, our amazing school system. But the other thought too is for those of you that are trying to make the jump, right? And it hasn't happened for you yet. Guess what? You're looking at somebody who had an opportunity and it was a no. There was another opportunity and it was a no. But the yes that happened was the absolute best situation for me at the right time. So what we need you to understand is you have to stay in the lab, right? You have to find ways to improve your practices. You have to find ways to, connect. One of the things I'm so appreciative of these two amazing colleagues that I'm on with is having the connections with them. And so you need to have people in your network so that you can still be aware of what those best practices are. Go to conferences together, right? If you notice when we're talking, we're actually writing things down. We're not on social media. We're actually going, oh, I like that idea. Yeah. I love that assist. Like, I'm like, oh, you know what, Dr. Phillips, I need to be a little bit more specific on my morning announcements, right? Like, but again, that's what you want to do. You want to continue to get better. So we want to encourage you to stay encouraged and no, it's not a no yet. Your right opportunity has not come yet. It's going to happen, but you got to continue to prepare and stay ready.
Yeah, don't get disgruntled with that. Yeah, I want to say something with the people that's listening, don't get disgruntled with those no's. It took me 2 years, 95 applications, 15 interviews, and watching broadcasts of people like Principal Cafale on a weekly basis, trying to get tips and strategy. Like, okay, what am I doing wrong in the interview process? But not even interview process. While I was going through it, getting better as a dean, getting better as a teacher, not saying, not blaming, like the blame game of because you didn't get hired, you're blaming. Don't blame the people that sat in the interview panel in the district, because you got to look at, Mr. Principal Fan, hold that mirror. You got to look at yourself. You can't blame the interview panel for being the ones that held you out of the opportunity. You just got to keep getting after it.
That's it.
And
That's
so what I want to say is it is the reaction to the no that people are paying attention to. And so for me, every job that I've ever applied for, I received the no. Every job that I received a phone call. And so the thing is that we have to realize with these connections that we have, your name is being spoken in rooms and you don't even realize it. Yeah. So your actions right now, for some of you who may have been applying and are wondering the why, is because what you've been doing in the forefront is speaking for you, not the work that you can do. And so be cautious in that. And so for me, I will say, like Jerod was speaking to and Freeman was speaking to, I pay attention who's in my building. There are substitutes that had no idea that they should be tapped into, and I'm tapping on their shoulder and saying, hey, don't you want to go back to college? When I have a position, I want you. Yep. If I see somebody in another building that's doing the work, oh, I'm coming after you. That's why nobody they don't want me to come in their building, because I'll steal people in a minute. Those paraprofessionals, I am putting you in a classroom with a quality teacher so that you can learn from that teacher's university of excellence. And then when I'm ready to hire you as a full-time teacher, I already know you support my vision. You've learned from the best of the best, and we can move forward. Now, don't get it wrong. All of you out there, let me say a word of caution. If you're in a place where you have a union, know the contract, because many contracts state that you have to interview, but it doesn't say that you have to hire. So go through the process. Know what you have to do, and don't think that you have to settle, because guess what? These babies' lives are at risk for making the wrong hire.
And it goes back to your original question about why are we so excited to get after it every morning?
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're talking about getting after it and moving the needle, it's somebody on our team that needs to hear a message, right? Like one of the coolest emails I got last week was from one of our amazing teachers here that just said, I saw your video. Thank you for doing it. And I'm not sure which video it was. I don't know. But she said, thank you for the message. It made me want to be innovative and fun this upcoming week, right? Wow. Put the fun back in education, right? Like people are going to want to come to your classroom. Like, I know I don't want my scholars running down the hall, but if they're running because they don't want to be late, I can go, all right, well, leave a little earlier, but you get a high five because now you're going to be on time, right? Like, so it's like, we got to get kind of pick and choose when we kind of go that loud yelling voice, but also when we go that motivation voice. But at the same time, like, your question about why are we excited to hop into this building every morning is because of the work and the opportunities and the way the opportunities to kind of get those dominoes rolling so other people can, help us on our mission.
That's right. That's right. Good stuff. We got one more, and we're going to keep it with you. Point guard principal. Identify root causes by checking scholars' bags, the acronym for behavior, attendance, grades, social, emotion. I know you touched on it, but I'm sure you got a little bit more.
So I was working in the elementary school. Some of the best ideas, it sometimes, I don't say it comes by accident, but I'm in the hallway as an AP, and I had a young person say, I'm just going to check my bag. And I'm looking in his bag. And he's like, no, check my behavior, my attendance, my grades. I said, what did you say? I run to my office and I write that down.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So, if you notice, now it has S.
Yeah.
Right. So the different schools that I've been at brought this in, and what it does is we look at root causes, right? So we're looking at data, right? So you're looking at behavior, for example. All right, what is the behavior, right? Is it like Dr. Phillips mentioned earlier? As a school system, for us, we're going after cell phones this year, right? Because we want to maximize instructional time. And so one of our higher incidents is referrals is going to be for the cell phone, because it's a new practice for our amazing scholars. But we have the data for that. So then we've gone down from the first marking period to the second marking period by almost 45%. Not because of a magic pill, but because of our alignment to our tier 1 strategies. And if we have students that are having referrals for that, there's a strategic game plan, right, to provide not just consequences, but reteaching moments, right? So the behavior piece is helpful because we can really pinpoint and then narrow as a school, either marking through the marking period and through the MTSS cycle, or if you feel like as an overhaul for your whole for the following school year. Because believe it or not, many of us are already planning for next school year, right? Some of us, believe it or not, are getting ready for the 30s, right? Like, because we're planting seeds for things. So like, if I'm partnering up with Dr. Phillips, by the time his third graders get to me, guess what? Those third graders are freshmen 6 years from now. That's 2030, right? So the work that they're doing below us, right, is preparing us for that. But let me jump back into the attendance. Now, you got me excited, Principal Cafe. Like, let me slow down. Let me slow.
Yeah.
The attendance piece is important too, right? Because why are they skipping, right? Why are they late? And then it goes back to if you know your students, right? If you can really pinpoint, if your system that's in place is empathetic, not low expectation, but understands that Freeman has his head down in class. He's tired. Well, why is he tired? Well, he's staying up late because he's working 2 jobs, or he's coming late to school because he has to make sure his older brother or sister gets on the bus.
Yeah.
So do you have a game plan that supports that, right? And again, not lowering the expectations because the work has to get done, but your empathetic meter hopefully is there. The G is the grades. You can flip it for academics, but then it's the S is the social emotional supports. And so what our team does is we also look at our big school data through this lens, but we also look at our tier 2 supports and tier 3 supports, so our MTSS process through that as well. We also want to make sure that we're celebrating success through this too. So if somebody sees that there's a gain in a certain area, man, you got to shout them out. You can't be yelling at a kid for the wrong things. Got to make sure that you're yelling even more when you see those gains academically or attendance wise or with their behavior.
Yeah. Hey, I love it. Good stuff. I think I'm gonna wrap it right there so we can go to our rapid fire questions. So let me just make some screen adjustments here. Give me a second and get rid of that. And so that was number 6. Here we go. So look here, y'all. These are 1 sentence or 1 word answers. If you find yourself inserting a comma, it is too long.
This is with the wrong group. We like to talk. This group, we're dialed in though.
I might even say, right? So, yeah, this is rapid fire. We're just going the order I've been going. Dr. Jones, is education on the right path for underserved children?
Nope.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Yes, with the right people at the table.
Does Dr. Equetta Jones work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Most definitely with the team that I have built to support me through the work.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
It would be the same with a couple of tweaks.
Why do you continue to do the work that you do?
Because my children deserved it, so all children deserve it.
What particularly fires you up within the work that you do?
Lack of understanding, visibility, and respect for the power of education.
And what do you dislike about the work you do?
Trying to be forced into a box that I am going to break down.
Yeah, love it. Dr. Phillips, what has been your greatest victory in your work thus far?
Being able to give back to aspiring leaders.
What was your greatest mistake in your work thus far?
I want to say no mistakes. Everything is aligned for a purpose.
There you go. That's a different answer. What has been your greatest challenge in your work thus far?
Getting others to see that I am not a traditional principal.
Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
Absolutely. Learned a lot.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Greatly proud.
Who inspires you in your work?
The man sitting in front of me, Principal Kafele.
Oh, man, I appreciate the compliment. What book would you recommend for our fam out there this afternoon?
Right now, considering where we are in education and needing to move the needle, your new book.
Oh, man. Appreciate you. Principal Williams, what do you want to accomplish that you have not accomplished yet?
I want to write a book to help inspire other people.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
No, I'm not satisfied.
Is there another gear to your leadership, or are you at peak performance now?
There's another level because other people can join the mission. We got to get more people to the mission.
What would you say to an AP out there who continues to face closed doors to the principalship?
You're up next. Keep growing.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership passion?
What's your why? Who motivated you and helped you?
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership confidence?
Slow down. Slow down.
And finally, if Principal Freeman Williams III was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Positivity.
Dr. Equetta Jones, if Dr. Equetta Jones was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Fierce.
And Dr. Jerod Phillips, if Dr. Jerod Phillips was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Not a day of leading scared.
Love it. Love it. To the fam out there, the ones who are regulars on the platform, you've already started, and I always appreciate that by applauding our guests. We applaud our guests with our favorite emoji. So a lot of you have started. If so, to the ones who may be new to the platform, if this session today resonated with you, if it was beneficial for you, if it was useful to your practice, if it was just good stuff, and you heard things that you could implement in your schools, give us those emojis. Let our guests know that this was time well spent for them, but time well spent for you to listen to them. So give us those emojis. Give us those emojis. I see them coming. I see them coming. So let me grab my emoji. Mine is a real live baseball bat, Louisville Slugger. At the park, grand slam. Every time you came to the plate, it's 3 people on base, and you just knocked them home. Good stuff. Good stuff. This was powerful. I'll be talking to my mother in a few minutes, and I already know my mother's gonna say that was powerful. That's what, you know, she'll tell me if it wasn't as powerful, she'll tell me. But this, I know what she's gonna say. And this was great stuff. Listen, I think all 3 of you, I know you're not doing this speaking thing at the level I do because you're still in the buildings, but I know that each of you can provide professional learning. So tell the folks how they can reach you if they want to reach you, if they just want to follow you on social media, if they want to ask you for a little bit more dialogue on anything you said, or if they want to book you to come out to their conference, their school, their district. I'll start off with Dr. Jones. How do they do so?
So I'm on Twitter at EQSJonesDE. I got tired of changing my handle every time I change positions. And then just Equetta Jones on LinkedIn. But as my niece says, if you Google me, I'll pop up and you can find me.
There you go. Just Google Equetta Jones, and you'll if you didn't get that email or that any of those handles down, just Google Equetta Jones. She'll pop right up. Dr. Phillips.
On X at JA Phillips 0722, but preferably DMing me on Instagram at Dr., which is DRJA Phillips 0722. And then we can connect that way, and I'll usually connect via cell phone, and we'll get after it together.
Good stuff. Point guard principal.
Sure. On X and on Instagram, point guard principal. But then also Expand the Village. If you're looking for cool podcasts, we're actually going to be filming season 2 soon. And then also on YouTube, you can find us. So Expand the Village is also on Facebook as well.
Good stuff. So you all, you see how to reach out to them. So do so. And I'm sure that somehow, some way, I know their schedules as principals, but I remember when I was a principal, somehow, some way, I found a way. A lot of times it was on a Saturday, and we got on out there. Sometimes it was on a Friday night, and we got on out there. You know, we got creative with it. But other than that, let me just also thank the fam, all of you, for being here for week 250. And for those of you who weren't with me in the beginning, that's 250 consecutive. This was only meant to be an 18-week platform during the pandemic, stay at home, May, the first Saturday in May until the last Saturday in August, and then I'm done. But you know, back in them days, everybody was home. We were averaging like 10,000 a week, and I said, why would I stop? And I didn't stop, and here we are, going into week 251 next week. So this is a labor of love. When I'm sitting there going through, you know, creating agendas, or when I'm on airplanes, when I'm doing it home, and my wife and I, we always say, look at all this work I created for myself on top of all the work that I do. But I love this work, you know, but you know, it's better when I do it on planes, and that way I'm in the sky and not bored, and I just create. And here we are. And I might also just throw out for someone out there, like you said, point guard principal, write that book. Several of my books were written in the sky. They were written on airplanes. And if they weren't written on airplanes, they were written in hotel rooms, or they were written at the gate when I'm waiting for the plane or the lounge. So don't make excuses. Just wherever you are, just have a pen handy, right? Meaning it could be a computer, it could be your phone, you know, whatever it is you use, but always be ready to write, you know, because your brain is working. It's just a matter of you doing the work, right? Or you sitting around listening to some music or whatever, right? So that's how I wrote a lot of my stuff, man. When I was on vacation, I sleep. I get up early. My wife sleeps much later than I do. So if I get up at say 6 or 7, and she doesn't get up until a few hours later, I'm on the balcony writing for 2, 3, 4 hours, writing a book, right? So a lot of my books were written on balconies during vacations in the Caribbean. When I say balconies, so you know, so there's no excuses. You just got to get it done if you got that book in you. And I might add this to the family for y'all before y'all leave, fam. The fam out there, let me put this on the screen for you, because some of y'all don't even realize I have this. Where we at? Here we at. So maybe you want to write a book, but you don't know where to turn. All right, I got you. I made a 4-video 5-hour playlist on YouTube. I ain't charging nobody a dime. Just go to YouTube to the same channel, AP and New Principals Academy. And I gave you all my secrets, right? To my 10 ASCD books, my 4 self-published books, and what is it? 9 of my books are bestsellers, right? So here's all my secrets. Or maybe you're saying, but Kafele, I really want to be a speaker. All right, I got you. So you want to be a professional speaker? I gave you 9 hours of content, 5 videos for free, right? I could set up seminars all over America, and because there's enough people out here that want this information, and I can quit my day job of speaking to principals and teachers and just do this every weekend somewhere in America and be wealthy, because everybody wants to be a speaker. But I decided, no, I'm not going to charge anybody a dime for this. I'm going to put it on YouTube. So all you got to do is go to the AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel if you're an aspiring speaker, and discipline yourself to watch 9 hours of content. Can you imagine that, sitting at this computer talking for 9 hours one day? Right? I broke it up into 5 parts, but and it wasn't one day, because a couple of the days you'll notice the background, I was in hotels, right? But still, it was within the same span of 2 days that I spoke 9 hours on this computer, putting this series together to help somebody to live their dream of standing on those stages, or standing in those libraries, or those cafeterias, or those auditoriums, doing your thing, right? Providing that information, providing that inspiration, providing that empowerment, whatever it is that you do. So there's the information. Go to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel and scroll down, and you will see it. Right? Enough said. Listen here, y'all. Y'all stay on when I go off. Next week, week 251. I got 3 more principals. Principal Trelane Clark from Boston, my man Tabari Wallace from North Carolina, and my man Wayne Muhammad, known as Principal Muhammad, also known as the Rapping Principal. He's got a video that went super viral. He got you know it, right? 9. Yeah, he did 9 with KRS standing right there. So he'll be on with me next. They'll be the 3 of them will be on with me next Saturday, so y'all don't want to miss that. Next Saturday morning, 10 o'clock Facebook Live, Sean Hurt Eastern Time, followed by 10 o'clock Eastern Time, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. myself at 10:55, and then Sundays, PDP podcast with Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno, 7 o'clock Eastern time, but 2 o'clock tomorrow because of the Super Bowl. Real quick, y'all. I ain't gonna not mention this. That's the new joint. Get yourself a copy. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Notice the title. It is not called What is my value to the teachers I supervise. I don't care about that. I'm asking what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise. Get your copy on Amazon. Get your copy on ascd.org. But as I always say, rate it, please. I appreciate 5 stars, right? and also leave me a review. Just tell me something, right? We live in an algorithm-driven world, so I got to do it that way. So if there's somebody out there that say, "Man, Kafele arrogant, man, he asking us to rate it and comment," I got to, man, because if I don't, who's going to do that for me, right? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And while we still got 600 people on here in real time, let me say this to you. In between the platforms, let me say this to the 600 that are still on here in real time. I'm where I am in life, and I would say the same for my 3 guests. I'm where I am in life because I did what I had to do. Right? 25 years ago, I told you I spoke to this Rites of Passage program yesterday. Let me just say this real quick before y'all sign off. I was speaking to these young men at this Rites of Passage graduation last night in Brooklyn, and I told them, 25 years ago, I had a dream of making a living holding microphones. But it wasn't realistic at the time because I had nothing to talk about. I hadn't lived enough life. I hadn't done anything yet. I didn't even have a bachelor's degree. I hadn't done anything. I just had a dream because my heroes were authors and speakers and activists and all that kind of thing. Those were my heroes. Before that, my heroes shot baskets. I still love them folks that do that, but those are not my heroes anymore. My heroes were basketball players. But when I became a reader, these authors became my heroes. Speakers became my heroes, even motivational speakers. Les Brown's of the world. I bought everything he wrote, every recording he recorded, I own. I still got them in the basement, right? Not up here, right? So, because I'm not a motivational speaker no more, right? So those are my heroes. 25 years ago, I said, I'm going to live my life like those guys, those people. I'm going to be self-employed, independent, speak, and in demand. I said that 25 years ago. Here we are, 2025. I'm living that life, baby. Make no mistake about it. I'm living that life. And if you hear my monologues every week, living that life while maintaining my authenticity. Because see, I don't have to come on here and be real I can come on here and fake the funk and I'll get more business. But I said I cannot live that way. I have to be able to express myself according to who I am and still generate the business. Right? Everybody's not going to do it that way. I ain't mad at them, but I'm not. I'm going to be me when I'm doing that monologue in the morning. Right? Every monologue is not perceived to be controversial, but when I feel when that spirit moves me that I need to talk about some things, we gonna do it. And when I'm amongst my audiences, right? So I'm hollering at somebody out there. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It's time to kick into your next gear. It's time to take your game to the next level. Freeman Williams III, I'm getting ready to put you on blast. You said you wanted to write that book. All right. Now you put it out there in the universe. Your brother, who's written 14, is saying, now that you put it out here, it's time to get it done.
Yes, sir.
It's time to write that outline. It's time to start formulating in your mind what it's going to be. Then you start writing that out. My outlines were always on this phone. Just as I'm moving about, ooh, that's a thought. I put it right there, right? So that I don't lose it. And then once it was time to start writing, the template is already done. Now all I got to do is fill in the blanks. That's how I write. Every book I write, it's a full outline. I remember back in elementary school, we had to write outlines, right? Oh my God, I don't want to do this, man. Roman numeral 1, letter A. 1, 2, 3. Man, that thing works, baby. I didn't know it back then. So that's how I structure every book I write. That outline that I despised back in elementary school. Here it is. You know it's in love, point guard, but just your older brother said, yo, we waiting on that book.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yeah, and I might say that with all three of us on here, right? Because y'all dropped some stuff today. So put it in that book. It's and this is my last. Hey, to the fam out there, this is my last point. It's too many authors out here that have not done what you've done, but they out here selling books.
Mhm.
It's too many authors out here who have not done it at your level, but they out here selling books. Or there's too many authors out here who did it, but they didn't accomplish nothing, but they write well, they speak well, right? See, y'all, you doing it at a high level. I know you write well. I know you speak well because I heard you all day, right? So now you just take it, you put it on paper, and you have credibility because you've done this work. And that's why I waited all these years. I didn't wait 25 years. It's just that 25 years later, but I waited about 17, 18 years before I became national because I needed credibility. I don't want to walk in these rooms and I'm just in here because I speak well. I want to walk in these rooms because I got receipts.
Receipts.
I got receipts, baby. Right. So I'm in a position that I can have this conversation now, as opposed to he speaks very well. He's very inspiring. But I want to have substance but I also did the work. Enough said, fam. Hey, y'all. Make sure that you that you go to principalcafele.com, register for my annual School Leadership Institute, July 15 and 16 in Raleigh, North Carolina. Again, July 15, 16 in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're going to be talking instructional leadership all day long on the 15th and all day long on the 16th. That's all we're going to do is talk instructional leadership because it is the most important work that you do in all of what you do. Because at the end of the day, where the rubber meets the road is the question, are the students learning? Well, I can't learn from a teacher that's incompetent, but if that teacher is incompetent or struggling and doesn't have a coach in his or her life, then what are we talking about? So make sure that you register. And then lastly, your diet, your exercise, and your virus precautions. I'm bird flu is now in New York City. So we getting ready to end the eggs, the chicken, all that stuff, man. I was in the store the other day. They said it is here in Brooklyn, Queens, and one of them other boroughs. So I said, okay, well, that's right across from Jersey City. So we gonna make some changes in the diet for a little while. But other than that, to the fam out there, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Flip it. Peace. Thumbs up, cock that fist back, count to 3, 1, 2, 3, bam! I'll see y'all next Saturday for 251.